Welcome. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to the Inspiring You Show. If we haven't met, I'm Henry. This is the April energy forecast for 2025, crossing the threshold, embodying the heart wisdom, soul truth, and sacred integration. April is not just a continuation, it's a deepening. If March awakened the intuitive heart, April invites us to live from it. We now stand at a sacred threshold, a space between karmic release and purposeful emergence. With eclipse season behind us and retrogrades beginning to clear, this is a month of embodiment, integration, and soul led clarity. So, again, my friends, March really cracked open the heart, and April is inviting us to live from it. So, with the eclipse energy settling and Venus stations direct, this month serves as a powerful bridge between karmic clearing and soul centered creation. So, we're no longer just awakening to the light truth within, we're being asked to trust it, embody it, and build from it. So, remember though, you are a co creator with the universe, you have free will. So, that's why it's an invitation. We're being asked to. Whether or not you answer the call is up to you. This month is a month of integration, alignment, and grounded momentum. The Venus North Node and the Venus Saturn conjunctions deepen our relationship with emotional truth, sacred boundaries, and soul guided purpose. While the Libra full moon and Taurus new moon help us to recalibrate and root into what truly matters. So we're being called into heart centered responsibility and soul aligned commitment. And we are then with Mercury and Mars, it's bringing renewed insight, courage, and the will to act. And those two powerful lunar gateways, the Libra full moon and the Taurus new moon, will support emotional recalibration and grounded manifestation. So April asks us to build what we've only just begun to feel, the life that aligns with our truest self. And remember, it is also an unfolding, my friends. We are in an unfolding. This is an experience then where heart wisdom is being called to be put into inspiring action. It's no longer just about intuitive insight, but about embodied clarity. We're stepping into a new relational aspect. We're stepping into a new level of relational integrity also. Self-worth and presence that's not based on external validation, but anchored in inner light truth. So let this month be your return to presence, purpose, and the steady power of love in motion. This threshold has been crossed. Now begin again anchoring in that light truth, radiant wisdom, and allowing yourself to be ready to grow. So some of the key aspects are embodying heart wisdom. Venus conjunct the North Node. Saturn invites heart led decisions, soul aligned commitments, emotional sovereignty, sacred integration, and grounding. The Libra full moon, Taurus new moon offers balanced stability after the eclipse season, helping you to root into what truly matters. Clarity and courageous rebirth. Mercury's in Aries and Mars and Leo spark momentum, self expression, bold action aligned with your inner truth. Soul responsibility and karmic maturity. I've heard that quite a bit in terms of the meditations in regard to March and then even coming into this month. Soul responsibility and karmic maturity. Are you allowing yourself to really learn, grow, and evolve and karmically mature? Karmically mature. Whew. So with that is then the Saturn conjunct the North Node calls for integrity, purpose, and conscious recalibration on your life path. So this month is a month of sacred embodiment where inner light truth becomes more inspiring outer action. So let presence lead, let love guide, let your next chapter be built from the heart. And then in regard to the vibrational energy colors of April 2025, they've been coming in as iridescent rose and earthy jade. The iridescent rose is about embodying heart wisdom, allowing more heart centered actions, emotional clarity, soul truth. That also resonates with the Venus North Node, Venus Saturn alignments, guiding us to live from the heart with compassion, courage, purpose. And then also in regard to last month there was an intuitive heart activation, which then in this month we're going deeper into the heart. So it really leads in terms of the energy forecast themes as well. And then Earthy Jade, after a lot of this release and clearing, it's about calling us into grounding, stability, conscious creation, embodying grounding, harmony, and steady growth, which then also aligns in regard to the energy forecast themes of last month coming into this month, and then aligns in terms of the astrology with the Libra full moon and the Taurus new moon, helping us to stabilize, integrate, and build a life rooted in soulful values and sustainability. How to use these colors, in meditations, energy work, meditations, you can call in, utilize the energy vibration of rose during the meditation, or earthy grade, or earthy jade, earthy jade, or combination. You can also wear the colors, in clothing or in regard to crystals as well. Rose quartz tones, the soft pinks, iridescent hues will support heart healing and emotional embodiment. The jade colored accents, deep greens, earthy tones will anchor your energy, enhance stability, and bring peace to your environment. Spend some time in nature, especially with trees, gardens, rivers, to harmonize Earth's rhythm and integrate the shifts, because remember, Earth is also going through this. So April is about embodiment and sacred movement. And the rose will connect to your heart truth. The jade will ground your intentions. And together they support the journey from inner clarity to outer creation. So this is an integration beneficial portal month, crossing the threshold, living the truth of your becoming. April is simply not just another chapter. It's a vibrational threshold. The guide's been saying that quite a bit. It's a sacred turning point after the karmic shedding and emotional recalibration of March. And we're still in it too, coming into April. We're now stepping, though, into a month that asks not for more release, but for more embodiment. But we still might be clearing as well. So it's a time to begin living from the clarity we've earned, to walk with wisdom we've gathered, and to ground the light we've received into real, sustainable, inspiring choices. So this is a month of sacred integration where soul light truth becomes aligned, inspiring action, and heart wisdom becomes our daily compass. The energies of the recent eclipses may still ripple beneath the surface, but the cosmic landscape is shifting. Venus stations direct, Mercury clears its retrograde shadow, and Saturn aligns with the North Node. These movements aren't just astrological, they're deeply energetic. So they're calling us to live from what we've learned, to embody our highest frequency, and to consciously root into the timeline we're choosing to create. We are not who we were, and yet the version of us that is arriving is still forming, soft, luminous, and profoundly powerful. So as we move through April, there are 9 key energetic themes which will support the integration journey. Each one acts like a stepping stone across the bridge. The light bridge is what I like to call it, from what was into to what's becoming. So with that, my friends, let's begin with the foundational invitation, the heart of it all. Theme number 1, the sacred art of reconstructing the self, a sacred bridge to soul embodiment, a sacred light bridge, if you will, to soul embodiment. So this is the first step after crossing the threshold. You moved from karmic release in March, and now you're tasked with rebuilding your inner and outer world based on heart wisdom and soul light truth. And as I mentioned, the astrology supports the embodiment and clarity as well. Venus conjunct North Node, Saturn invites the reconstruction to begin from within. But with this, though, April is arriving like a breath after a storm, not to rush us forward, but to invite us into stillness, into reflection, into the sacred art of beginning again. We are in a reconstruction of self. I've been sitting with that for the last couple weeks and more deeply in the last couple days. And yesterday, I spent most of yesterday just in meditation, really just working with these different themes and understanding them at a deeper level. And so this month is a living invitation to return to ourselves, to revisit, reimagine, realign. We are not here to rebuild the past. We are here to reconstruct a future that honors who we've become and who we're becoming. So, again, my friends, we are not here to rebuild the past. We are here to learn, grow, and evolve. Therefore, we are here to reconstruct a future that honors who we've become and who we're becoming. After months of deep energetic shifts, especially the recent eclipses, we are finding ourselves in a liminal space. If I've been saying the word liminal quite a bit, it's because the guides have been saying it quite a bit. The old identities are dissolving. The familiar no longer fits, and yet the clarity of what's next may still be out of reach. But this is not a setback, it's sacred ground. This is a chrysalis phase in the spiral of our becoming, a moment where we're called to recalibrate from the inside out. The cosmos supports this work. Retrogrades, Saturn, the call of the heart-centered truth are aligning to help us slow down and rebuild with presence. So the earth, the sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, the universe is literally supporting us, our guides, our higher self souls. They're supporting us in this experience. And this is not about fixing. It is about honoring what still belongs to your becoming and letting go of what doesn't. We're invited to reconnect with our vision, not from force, but from flow. Reorganize our inner space before rearranging the outer world. Reclaim our energy, rewrite our story, reawaken our light. The pieces of our past are not broken. They are fragments of possibility. We get to choose what carries forward and what's released as a chapter that is closed. And we can do so with mindfulness, loving kindness, compassion, and care. And even if the path ahead feels unclear, trust that it will unfold. Clarity always comes in the quiet breath between surrender and alignment. You're not behind, you're not lost. You are in the sacred work of reconstruction. This month's energies may stir up restlessness, discomfort, or emotional waves. That's not a punishment, it's movement. You can resist it, or you can meet it with presence and allow it to shape you for the highest good in regard to processing the emotions, downloading the wisdom, recognizing and having those aha self realization moments of what is it here to possibly teach you? How am I learning, growing, and evolving? And letting yourself do so with mindfulness and compassion. It takes discipline to rise when uncertainty tempts you to shrink back. But if you've never opened the door, you won't discover the light on the next floor. The frequency waiting to meet you where you're headed. Your body is your tuning fork, your energy field, your guide. This is the discipline now to feel first, then move, to listen deeply, trust intuitively, and respond from your center. Let April be the month where you remember this isn't about returning to what was. It's about stepping into what's true. One breath, one aligned choice at a time. This is not a rush, it's a return, a remembering, a sacred light bridge to soul embodiment. You are then allowing your soul to become embodied in your physical body. You are multidimensional, and you, dear one, are right on time. So, we talked a little bit about the astrological events, but let me just talk more about how that and the cosmic influence connect to this energy theme number one. One, Venus conjunct North Node, April 3rd, plus Saturn, and then Venus direct. That's happening April 12th, 13th. All of this is these alignments speak to the energy of the embodying the heart wisdom and soul responsibility, guiding us into emotional sovereignty and soul aligned choices. After going through that deep karmic purging of March's eclipses, we're invited to reconstruct our sense of self from the inside out. Venus retrograde reflection is over, and what we've learned about love, worth, and emotional truth now becomes the foundation of how we build forward. So that means that you still might be having aha moments and processing. And so this is a cosmic call to reconstruct your life from the heart outward. The retrogrades, the eclipses paved the way. And now with Venus turning direct, it initiates a movement for the reflection to be embodiment, anchoring emotional sovereignty and soul light truth. You're not rebuilding the old. You're creating from who you've become. Integration tip. Let this month be your month of grounded emergence. Rebuild not from who you were, but from who you've become. Anchor presence, rebuild through clarity, and let the heart lead. Let this be your moment of grounded emergence, aligning purpose with presence. Okay, theme number two, regulating the inner climate from dysregulation to energetic resets. Tools are so important and more so than ever. Integration stirs the nervous system. So take a moment to process that. Integration stirs the nervous system. So, this theme supports the embodiment process by addressing the need to stabilize the inner landscape so that you can hold and regulate the new light frequencies coming online. I know, y'all, we often hear people like wanting to shift from 3D to 4D to 5D or higher. Or wow, I'm in these really highlight energies. The frequencies is amazing, which is incredible, amazing. Yet integration stirs the nervous system, and also learning to stabilize the inner landscape so you can hold and regulate the new light frequencies that are coming online. Years ago, when the guides were suggesting that I take some trauma informed practitioner courses, I was like, that's curious. And yes, of course, it's going to help my human in a lot of ways. Yet now I understand what the bigger preparation was for. Now I get it. So it's interesting because you might think on one level, like, oh, I understand why I'm being guided. But as the unfolding happens and as you reach that moment, you can realize even a bigger picture of it. So the ability to anchor and stabilize is so important because one of the biggest energetic undercurrents this month is this challenge and opportunity of self-regulation. In a world that's been consistently overstimulating, chaotic, and uncertain, our internal systems are working overtime. The ability to anchor and stabilize your emotional and mental and energetic states is not just important, it is essential. So, one of April's most vital invitations is to tune into your internal climate and respond with deeper care. This is a month of energetic recalibration. There were aspects of it last month as well. And at the center of it all is the nervous system, your body's frontline response to the world's increasing intensity. When we're dysregulated, everything can feel heightened or distorted. Thoughts can just spiral, Emotions may feel even more overwhelming. Reactions may come faster than our ability to respond mindfully. In this state, the nervous system is either on high alert or in shutdown mode. For some, this looks like constant reactivity, snapping, spiraling, or seeking control. For others, it's withdrawal, numbing out, isolating, or collapsing inward, feeling exhausted, tired, drained. And yet, this is also a month where many may begin to feel something different, a subtle or even a dramatic internal reset. After months of inner After months of inner turbulence, you may finally touch a new balance point, not because everything has calmed down around you, but because you've developed new tools or found deeper energetic footing within yourself. Self regulation isn't just about calming down, it's about learning how to track and tend to your inner climate in real time, honoring your body's cues, allowing emotional waves to move, and choosing aligned, inspiring action, mindfulness over reaction. From an energy perspective, these moments of inner reset happen when your system integrates new light frequencies and reorganizes itself to hold a higher level of coherence. But if you want to hold that higher level of coherence and not drop back down, then it's important to really understand how to work with your system. You may still have days that you feel like you're unraveling. Yet with presence care, each cycle of dysregulation can become an initiation into deeper awareness, deeper self-awareness and self-mastery. And that's the opportunity now to move from feeling tossed around by your emotions, thoughts, and energy to learning how to gently hold them, support them, and allow your energy to recalibrate. I have been doing this work for years. In some ways since I was a kid, but really in regard to, the deeper work, the learning energy practitioner work and meditation and other things, really since my 20s. And I will say, even with all the tools that I have, there are just moments and days where you are feeling really incredible in terms of the light. And then there's days where you could be pummeled and it's not right, wrong, good or bad. There's an isness. And even with all the tools that I have, there's just things that are clearing out, possibly from personal, individual energy field, from your ancestral energy field, maternal, paternal lineages, or from aspects that in terms of if you're supporting regard to the collective, just depending on your role here as well. So those things can factor in. But the bottom line is really just learning the tools and understanding when to use what tool when. And sometimes you need to use multiple tools as well, because you may still have days that you feel like you're unraveling. And again, the self regulation isn't just about calming down, it's about learning how to track and tend to your internal climate in real time, honoring your body's cues, your emotional waves to move, choosing aligned, inspiring action over reaction. So it's really supporting yourself then in terms of allowing your energy to recalibrate. So that is really where you're going deeper into the self awareness and self mastery. That's where you go into self mastery, being an energy alchemist. And that's the opportunity right now, is to really move from feeling tossed around by emotions, thoughts, energy to learning how to gently hold them with loving kindness, compassion, care, and mindfulness, and to support them, to support yourself with love, and then allowing what needs to be transformed and transmuted, allowing the energy to recalibrate, because energy can shift and change. And as a co-creator with the universe, you are an energy alchemist. And so it's learning how to use the tools. So this month, support your reset by tending to the basics. Breathe, move, rest, nourish, speak kindly to yourself. Your system is listening. Every small act of care becomes a signal of safety. And from that safety, balance is born. So, right now, nervous system fluctuations are more common than ever. Many people are swinging between extremes, feeling either highly activated, overstimulated, and flooded by emotion, or completely shut down, withdrawn, and cocooned in retreat. You may notice yourself on edge one moment, then numb and disconnected the next. Both are natural responses to prolonged energetic and emotional overwhelm. From an energy lens, from an energy lens, these are signals that your system is working hard to reorganize itself. See, reorganize, reconstruction. We are in a reorganization time. We are reconstructing. So, again, these are signals that your system is working hard to reorganize itself, to integrate what's moving through you while also trying to protect you from further overload. So, that's from the energy work lens. When you're in activation, your energy field can feel chaotic, buzzy, overly charged. When you are shut down, you might feel foggy, heavy, or invisible. Neither state is wrong. They are simply messengers showing you where support, regulation, and attunement are needed. This month, many will feel the first signs of internal reset. After navigating months of emotional turbulence, energetic purges, and identity shifts, a new center of balance is emerging. It might be subtle, a breath that lands deeper. Maybe all of a sudden you can breathe deeper. It could be a clearer decision, a return of motivation. Maybe you haven't felt motivated and all of a sudden you feel motivated. So it can be subtle. So take note of it. And it might come after what felt like a breakdown. You could have had a breakdown and now you're in the breakthrough. But make no mistake, the reset is real. Self regulation isn't just about calming down, it is about co creating a safe container within yourself. It's learning how to meet your feelings, thoughts, and sensations with curiosity and presence rather than resistance or avoidance. Whether it's grounding practices, energy work, breath work, mindful movement, energetic clearing, the tools you now have can help you stabilize your field and support the nervous system to integrate the influx of energy coming in. Remember, every small supportive action matters. Whether that's stepping outside for 5 minutes of sunlight, placing your hand on your heart, or allowing yourself to cry without judgment, it's all regulation. You're not meant to bypass the intensity, but you're being asked to relate to it differently. There was a moment earlier today where I was on my walk and I was thinking about this I didn't even know who this influencer was, and she's been showing up in my TikTok feed with her baby. And I know that there's a lot of just thoughts and feelings regarding, do you put your children on social media or videos for people to see publicly or do you not? And as a former reality TV producer who worked in the industry for over 20 years, I understand full well in terms of the pros and the cons. But as I was walking, I was contemplating how, in the last couple days, in watching these videos of her interacting with her baby, there's so much love, joy, and care. And it has so touched my heart. And not only that, it has supported me in healing an aspect of my own inner child that, in March when things were being called to be purged, something came up and I actually did an episode about it. And and it was probably the same time when these videos started coming up. There's the synchronicity. Um, and so it really, as I was walking, I just had a whole appreciation for this person where there's just so much love and care in what's being presented. on the videos in terms of her and her baby and her being a first-time mom. I did not know who this person was before. Her name is Alex Bennett, and, I don't really know much about her. I just know from watching the videos that there just seems to be a lot of care and love and just nourishing aspects. And I just thought about how there's sometimes there is beneficial aspects with the positivity of these little moments, of these little docu-series that we're seeing where there is so much care and love and joy that that person has no idea that it could be helping someone else and their inner child really heal from watching the nurturing care that someone is presenting to their child. So I just wanted to offer that because, you know, we are going deeper into the heart. And we also are shifting more to unity consciousness, but we're not there yet. And in this place, it's really about how, when synchronicities are coming up, how is that really supporting you? And what came up yesterday that this moment is supporting you? And then also just offering gratitude where I just have a lot of gratitude for what this person is doing. And so in regard to this theme, right? Where it's regulating the inner climate from dysregulation to energetic resets. So, how things, breath work, meditation, energy work, all that can be really beneficial tools. Also, though, there is the power of the beneficial aspect of storytelling, where you just catch a glimpse and it provides this real care, loving nourishment that also can help reset your nervous system and bring in an aspect that is supporting you in terms of resetting by tending to these basics. And I just wanted to say that because sometimes I feel like, there can be positive and negatives to everything, but there also can be a gray area. And so sometimes these tools, there can be other tools like this that can also support you. I also tend to watch a lot of inspiring animal videos too that bring a lot of love, joy, and care that help sometimes really reset the system as well. So with that, my friends, just know that, every little small supportive action can really matter here. And and that whatever you're utilizing in terms of tools, grounding practices, breath work, mindful movement, watching inspiring little videos in a beneficial way, not in a way that's going to numb you out, but in more of a mindful, conscious way. And then also asking the questions like, how is this beneficial for me? What is it supporting me? These tools then can stabilize and help your field and support the nervous system to integrate the influx of energy coming in. So every small, supportive, inspiring action can matter. Whether it's stepping outside for 5 minutes of sunlight, placing your hand, allowing yourself to cry without judgment, it's all regulation. And just like now, when I was just mentioning watching these videos of this person and their baby, I was just, I don't know if you saw me tearing up. I was crying without judgment. It's all regulation. And it brought so much, I could just feel that care and love in my heart. You're not meant to bypass the intensity, but you are being asked to relate to it differently. So let this month be a month where you are listening more clearly and closely, more mindfully, move more gently, and regulate with reverence. Because within every wave of dysregulation lies the potential for a deeper, more empowered relationship with your energy, your body, and your inner world. You're not broken, you're becoming. And every nervous system wobble is simply a part of the recalibration into your next level of wholeness. As you continue to navigate this energetic terrain, be open to the reality that your old go-to tools for self-regulation may no longer work in the same way they once did. Practices that were once deeply soothing, your morning yoga flow, a favorite breathwork pattern, journaling rituals may feel strangely ineffective or even agitating. Don't let this discourage you. Maybe even me mentioning social media or a social media influencer or watching these videos, or maybe even the social media influencer's name. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that could have brought up something. And it's not right, wrong, good or bad. There's the isness, the business of the isness. It's about letting yourself process. Don't be discouraged by it. Don't. Years ago, one of my energy practitioner that I was working with and learning from, we had these many conversations about whether you can look or turn away. And it is about learning how to stay stable and being able to look, use your tools, and not get caught in turning away that you're shutting down so much. There can be beneficial aspects where you need to have reprieve. But if you're in a pattern of turning away, going into denial, it could be the very thing that's blocking you from moving forward. And you may really want to move forward, but you can't move forward if you're not looking ahead. If you are turning away, how are you going to move forward? You're not going to be able to see to move forward. Don't be discouraged by this, though. Don't let this discourage you. It's not a failure. It's a signal that your inner system is shifting or calling something for you to be present to allow a shift to happen. So I'm going to repeat all that. Practices that were once deeply soothing, your morning yoga flow, a favorite breathwork pattern, journaling rituals may strangely feel ineffective or even agitating. They may be bothering you. Don't let it discourage you. It is not a failure. It is a signal that your inner system is either being called to process something, to recognize something is there, and also your inner system may be shifting, and it's letting you know that it's shifting. And so that's why you have to call in, like, what's really happening here? You are operating from a new vibrational frequency. And so that means your body, mind, and energy field also may require updated pathways of regulation that meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. So it can be either a couple of things. One, maybe there's other tools that you need to add in here. Two, there might be something here for you to notice and acknowledge. Three, it just might be that some of these tools, they may be in completion in the process, and you're now operating a new vibrational frequency, and it may mean that you need something different. And so letting yourself be open to that, what is really happening here? You're operating from a new vibrational frequency. It means your mind, body, and energy field require these new aspects. Your body, mind, and energy field require updated pathways of regulation that meet where you are now, not where you used to be. And so that's where the continuous aspect of being open, curious, and learning to really be in presence instead of autopilot. I think sometimes we just are, sometimes can be in autopilot. Like, let me do this, this, and that. I'm going to eat this in the morning. I'm going to go for this exercise. And you're just checking off a list and on autopilot. Or maybe you have, like maybe the universe is trying to get information to you, but you're closing off yourself based on, maybe something, you know I for whatever reason. And so letting yourself be open to new ways and new possibilities because you're operating from a new vibrational frequency. And so there might be something else that your body, mind, and energy field are requiring in regard to the updated pathways of regulation that meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. And it could also mean in terms of food changes. Maybe you had a certain way of eating that your body needs something else now. So that's where, though, being open to the possibilities and just understanding, like, okay, what's really happening here, and why am I being called to this now for a moment? So, what supported your nervous system at a previous level of consciousness may not be enough or may not be the right fit anymore. It's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's the isness, the business of the isness. And now that you've moved through deeper layers of purging, awakening, and energetic activation, there might be something else that's being called in now, or maybe an additional tool, or maybe more inspiration, or maybe something else is calling in. So this month is really inviting then experimentation, trying something new. I don't generally watch a lot of I'll admit on social media, I watch a lot of just the inspiring animal stories. Specifically, right, I also watch a lot of, I don't know if everyone knows the Eagles and Big Bear, Jackie and Shadow. Right now, I've been very invested in checking out Jackie and Shadow and their 2 eaglets in the nest and seeing how they do daily. That brings me a lot of joy. I don't generally, I don't generally scroll per se a lot on social media. So I mean, it's something new for me where I don't really know who the who's who are in terms of influencers are. I just don't. I tend to read a lot of just mindfulness books or things like that. I tend to read a lot more. That being said, though, this month is an invitation of an experimentation, trying something new. And so when the video that I just mentioned about this woman and her baby, I just felt such a joy and love, like, that she has for her child and the reverence of the process. And I was like, wow, that energy, oh my goodness, it just touches your heart. And so it's not right, wrong, good or bad. There's the business of the isness. And are you open to the possibility of, like, wow, this is really healing to see this moment and let go of what you think, thought, or maybe you had no thoughts on it, and just being in that moment of just that presence of what it's bringing. So this month invites experimentation, trying something new that's beneficial, that feels in that resonance of healing. Maybe it's a different kind of walk or movement. Maybe it's a different kind of exercise. Maybe if you do go on a lot of walks and you walk in the morning, maybe it's a walk at dusk instead of dawn. Maybe it's I don't know, a different type of yoga or a different type of meditation. There's so many meditation styles. Tuning into different meditation styles. Relearning the power of stillness in another way, using a different type of energy healing. There's multiple modalities that I use for energy healing, dipping into somatic practices to reconnect to yourself in new ways. Or maybe it's watching an inspiring, movie. I just watched a really inspiring movie this weekend that it was one of those movies where I was just so present for it, and I just felt so good to be in the unfolding of it. It was just I laughed, I cried, and I felt so great afterwards. You don't have to abandon what's worked in the past, but you do have to be curious enough to explore what your evolving self needs in the present. Let your nervous system be your guide. What brings genuine calm? What helps your energy land? What reconnects you to your center? This is not just about tools, it's about relationship. Your relationship with yourself, your body, your rhythms, your needs. You're learning how to self attune at a higher level, to listen more closely, to respond more compassionately. And in regard to things, it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's the business of the isness. So however that works for you, then amazing. I'm happy for you. I want that for you. Sometimes for me, just walking into a coffee shop that has you hear like everyone kind of happily chattering, that brings me so much joy, and it brings me such a wave of just resets my nervous system into grounded joy, that there's like this feeling in the coffee shop of community collaborating. I have such joy when community is there in this space of collaboration where people are in joy of what they're doing, and you can hear it in the you can hear it kind of in the space when you really attune to it. And so sometimes if I feel like, oh, I need a little bit more community support, y'all, I'll just go to a coffee shop and I will just sit and write in a coffee shop, because that vibrational feel, it just helps me resync in terms of community aspect, bringing me joy. And that's just a short little way of like a little way of doing it. So these aren't just about tools, it's about relationship. Your relationship with yourself, your body, your rhythms, your needs. You're learning how to self-attune at a higher level, to listen more closely, to respond more compassionately. So let April be the month where you stop judging the wobble and start honoring the wisdom within. When your system feels off, it's not a setback, it's an invitation to slow down, to get present, to try something different. Your nervous system is not the enemy, it's the messenger. And it is guiding you. It is guiding you toward deeper alignment, balance, and clarity. So breathe, my friends. Explore, be gentle, and above all, trust that every moment you care, you offer yourself, that you are then, let me say that again, that above all, trust that every moment of care that you offer yourself, you are now laying the foundation for a more stable, regulated, and empowered you. You're not who you were, and that's the point. And if you're needing extra support during this time of energetic transition and nervous system recalibration, y'all, I mentioned how last month the guides were like whispering in my ears, like, okay, March, you need to start doing nervous system reset tools in your Meditate with Me and all access levels in the classes and talking about it. And so all last month, we were doing Tuesdays and Thursdays nervous system reset tools. And again, this month, the guys were like, continue doing the nervous system recalibration. We just did a great class yesterday. So if you need extra support and you want to try something new, I invite you to join us over the Inspiring You Patreon, whether through the Meditate with Me or the All Access tiers. Those are the paid tiers. There's live classes that then replays. There's guided energy work, nervous system regulation practices, consistent support to help you integrate and rise with greater ease. So then you're not alone and we're navigating this together. The link, I'll put the link in the show notes, or if you're on Patreon, it's Inspiring You Show. Okay, and so then the astrological events and cosmic influences connected to energy number 2 is Venus Saturn conjunction April 7th, Libra full moon April 12th and 13th. So the Libra full moon on April 12th, 13th, depending on where you're on the world, and Saturn conjunct the North Node April 14th helps us stabilize emotional imbalances and recalibrate our nervous systems. So the universe is trying to work with us. The So these events, these cosmic energies, these cosmic events are helping to highlight the theme of sacred integration and grounding, bringing relief after the eclipse-driven upheaval. The Venus Saturn conjunction also amplifies the need for emotional maturity, helping us redefine boundaries and regulate from within. This theme draws from the Venus alignment with Saturn and the Libra full moon, highlighting emotional recalibration and the need to establish new rhythms of nervous system care. You're being asked to pause, regulate, and honor the shifts occurring internally as your body adjusts to new frequencies. So here's an integration tip: create daily space for nervous system resets, breathwork, grounding practices, or simply resting without guilt. That's a big one. Learning how to rest without guilt. I can't tell you how many times I hear them in private sessions. People feel so guilty about resting. They're like, I got to go, 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 do, 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 do. But the integration really works, and the integration happens when you really rest. So the cosmos is supporting the balance through intentional pause, practice grounding rituals, nervous system support as you practice your energetic hygiene this month. All right, the next theme: momentum rising, moving forward from a place of inner power. After a period of recalibration, momentum begins to build. This is a natural progress once nervous system regulation improves and inner clarity is restored. And so the Aries, Mercury, and Mars and Leo support this forward flow. April arrives with a noticeable energetic lift. After months marked by emotional heaviness, inner processing, and collective shadow work, many will begin to sense more movement in their field. So, this, and by field, energy field, this is a natural shift that follows deep energetic clearing. For those who have been navigating stagnation, fatigue, or internal pressure, this month offers a renewed sense of vitality. We may start to feel more connected to our own agency again, more able to take inspiring action if called to, express ourselves, move forward in a way that feels self led rather than reactive. So, this isn't about bypassing the work we've done, it's a direct result of it. So, really making that discernment. As our systems integrate recent releases, this brighter, more forward movement, light current energy becomes available. It's not necessarily dramatic, but it's present and it's meaningful. So, let yourself take some time to tune in. This shift in energy will feel like a much needed upturn after a stretch of stagnation, of stagnant or even repressive, dense energies that has been clearing. And for many, it will spark a renewed sense of that expression, that authentic expression, clarity, and that ability to move forward in a more authentic, internally guided way. So, over the past couple months, many have found themselves just in this real deep process of emotional, energetic clearing. And so, again, it's just good to note. And I know I'm saying it a few ways because sometimes it's really hard for people to understand, like, what's happening to me? What is going on? Why do I feel so tired or heavy? And so, just really making the point that whether through fatigue, overwhelm, agitation, or old wounds resurfacing, the intensity has been undeniable. Much of this has been connected to a larger collective shift, one that's brought unresolved patterns and shadow aspects to the surface, both individually and globally. In energy terms, y'all, we have been in a purge cycle. Things have just been clearing, moving through layers of stored emotional residue and outdated conditioning. And it just really hasn't been personal. The collective field has been saturated with distortion, grief, fear, unrest, and all those of us who are sensitive, highly sensitive, or tuned in may have felt the ripple through their nervous system, the body, and the mind. So many, and that's why it could be your own aspect in terms of your individual energy field. It also could be aspects from your ancestral energy field, or it could be from also from the collective. Many also have been working through parts of themselves. Many also have been working through parts of themselves that once felt hidden or buried. Feelings of unworthiness, disconnection, judgment, or grief. These shadow layers aren't inherently negative. They're just parts of us that are calling for integration. That's where if you do dusting energy work or any kind of energy work that has soul retrieval would be a beneficial tool to really utilize. I always find it a beneficial tool, but especially during times like this. And also, as global systems unravel and deeper truths are revealed on the world stage, our inner systems are doing the same. This mirroring between the outer world and our internal experience is real, and it's part of the evolutionary process we're in. The energetic turbulence we felt has asked us to pause, reflect, begin clearing what no longer resonates with who we're becoming. Over the past couple months, many have been moving through an intense period of energetic clearing and emotional release. This hasn't been light, and it is not surface level work. It's been deep, uncomfortable, and at times disorienting. For many, this process has brought up old emotional patterns to the forefront. What we refer to in energy work as shadow material. Shadow issues are part of ourselves we've learned to possibly suppress or avoid. The unhealed wounds, the self judgments, the stories of not being good enough, not doing enough, not being worthy of love or rest. These parts can feel heavy or less evolved, feel lower or more dim, not as bright light as you may have been used to, not because they're bad, but because they've been buried under shame, fear, or neglect. They carry emotional weight, often showing up as anxiety, frustration, self doubt, or even physical discomfort. And this just isn't personal. The world has also been reflecting the same shadow dynamics back to us on a global scale through conflict, power struggles, collective grief, systematic collapse. We're watching these energies play out in the collective field. And for those who are, again, highly sensitive, intuitive, empathic, the external chaos can can deeply activate what's still unresolved internally. So this is really a mirror effect at work. What we're seeing unfolding in the world, division, distortion, emotional volatility, it is often a reflection of what's surfacing within us and vice versa. This is not to blame ourselves for the state of the world, yet to recognize that we are in a relationship with the collective energy. We are not separate from it. Y'all, no matter how much protection you try to do, we're not separate from it. We're living, as I like to call it, the Mother Earth. We are living in the snow globe. We are not separate from it. We feel it, we move through it, we contribute to how it evolves. So, yeah, you can have a beneficial protection, but just know that you're still in an aspect of living in an experience of a collective. You're multidimensional. So, it doesn't mean that you have to fully take in what you're feeling, but you're still going to sense it. And then you have to learn to process it and discern. So if you've been feeling off, foggy, emotional, or overwhelmed, you're not doing anything wrong. You're in the process. And the process is calling for presence, compassion, energetic self care. It's calling for us to witness what's been buried, not to judge, but to meet it with awareness and integrate it as part of the wholeness we are now rebuilding. We are now reconstructing in terms of self. We are in a reconstruction period. Over the past several weeks, again, if you are somebody that has felt off in ways you can't quite explain, that you have felt that deep physical fatigue, so much emotional overwhelm, mental fog that you don't understand why, or the unshakable heaviness, it can be really easy to internalize it as something personal, like something that needs to be fixed or figured out. But I invite you in. What's often happening beneath the surface is so much bigger than that. We're not just processing our own emotions. We're interacting with a global energy field saturated in grief, fear, and ongoing upheaval. And as people are becoming awakened, they're then awakening to this for the first time like, wait a minute, They're coming online, and then they're also all of a sudden coming online and feeling aspects from the collective, which they may never have even felt before. Where all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I can feel the sickness of the world, so to speak. And it isn't just external, it's reverberating through the body's thoughts, emotions. And they're like, what do I do with this? And maybe they're like, wow, I'm having this incredible awakening, which is amazing. But at the same time, they're like, what do I do with this? That's why tool work is so important, especially now. For those attuned to energy or highly sensitive people by nature, this can manifest as internal unrest without an obvious source. But that's why the more that you understand what's happening, the more that you're like, okay, you can discern the difference. So we're not just navigating our individual experiences, we're energetic connected to a global field that has been dense with fear, grief, upheaval. And that kind of sickness of the world, so to speak, and I'm saying with mindfulness, isn't just something we watch on the news. We feel it, we can carry it, we can metabolize it into our bodies, emotions, and nervous systems. And for many of us, the collective distress has been showing up as personal imbalances, not because we're broken, but because we're sensitive to what's unraveling around us. If you do energy work, especially dowsing energy work, you can ask and measure the energy of like, what is the aspect of the collective distress affecting someone. You can either ask for it in percentage or the level of it. And so then often then when people realize this, they see that their inner experience is then reflecting what's happening in the collective, and then something softens. And that's when the self-realization comes in. That's when the aha moment comes in. That's when you awakening and you physically understand it in a tangible sense. There's a moment of understanding, even relief. The pressure to figure it all out or fix it fades, and in place comes space to breathe, to witness, and to recenter using those mindfulness tools. We're not separate from the world, we're energetically in a relationship with it. And acknowledging that relationship can be the first step towards restoring clarity and alignment. And when people really make that connection, when they realize that their inner experience is in a relationship with the world's energy, often something hugely can shift. Not only is there that relief I talked about in remembering it's not all yours to hold, it brings space to breathe, recalibrate, respond with more compassion rather than blame. You're not disconnected from the world, you're in conversation with it. And the more conscious the relationship becomes, the more empowered your healing and alignment can be. The intense clearings happening across the planet is also then taking also place within each of us. Many are just being pulled into long held patterns or emotional imprints that may have quietly lingered in the background but never had space to fully surface. And now they're up for review, not to punish us, but because we're finally resourced enough to meet them. Healing isn't linear, it unfolds in layers. And often, as we move through one level of work, another deeper layer reveals itself. So, if you spent years working on something like low self worth and you've now reached a place where it no longer defines you or dominates your choices, that's a major shift. But what comes next isn't always rest, it's expansion. And after the clearing, there is room for something new to emerge. And for many, that something is authentic soul self expression. The freedom to share your light truth, to show up without apology, to create without censorship. And when you are no longer held back by the old survival patterns or protective walls, you begin to access a fuller, freer version of yourself. The healing clears the space. What fills the space is your light voice, your presence, your aliveness, your authentic light self. So the global release we've all been moving through isn't just happening out there, it's happening within. Many are being drawn into these deeper layers of emotional patterns that have shaped our identities for years, maybe even lifetimes, past lives, generations, the ancestral generational work. Things like self doubt, people pleasing, insecurity, or fear of being seen are rising to the surface, not to overwhelm us, but because we're finally in a place where we can face and clearly, where we can face and clearly allow them to clear more fully and be released from us. It is a clearing that is happening, and healing happens in layers. You, again, may have spent years working on something, and now that you find no longer holds the same weight over you. You're no longer defined by it. It no longer haunts you by the same limiting beliefs. That in and of itself is a huge shift. But what often surprises people is what follows. Once the grip of the old wound loosens, there's space for something new to come forward. And that something is often authentic self expression. When you are no longer shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort or second guessing your worth, you begin to feel the urge to speak, to share, to create, to show up differently. The energy that has once tied you up and holding yourself back is now available to be used in forward momentum. And that is the point in the healing journey where inner work begins to manifest outward. You start to move in ways that are more aligned, more confident, more authentically you. That is where the shift becomes tangible. When low self esteem, fear of judgment, or old emotional weight no longer holds you back, a new kind of freedom begins to rise. You notice a growing desire to speak more openly, show up more fully, or move in the world with less hesitation. That's the natural progression of healing. When the contraction clears, expression begins to expand. I will say earlier when I mentioned the social media video, and I wasn't gonna mention the person's name because I had a little moment of like, "I don't really wanna share this." And my guides were like, "This is someone that has brought like, literally has supported you in terms of bringing joy and healing. Share it." My guides came in and said, "Share it." And so if you've been with me for a bit, many years ago, I had a fear of public speaking, like a huge fear of public speaking. It has taken quite a bit to get here, but there can still be moments. I had past lives where things happened, and there's stuff in terms of my ancestry, and then there's stuff in terms of this present life. And so there's been a lot of layers of healing to get to this point where I am okay with live streaming and I am okay with sharing, but there's still sometimes little moments. And my guides came in and said, share the person's name because this is somebody that you want to offer gratitude to. This is somebody you want to offer gratitude to because, you know, just seeing a couple of the videos brought you such joy and healing and such you could feel the love. And so that was a tangible shift. That's a tangible shift, and that's where too healing happens in layers. I know that we all wanna get over things, like, I just wanna get over that. It often happens in layers, and so being patient with yourself and acknowledging and being able to be vulnerable and being able to admit it. And so then with it, when you are then noticing the tangible shift, there's a new kind of freedom that begins to rise. Like, I just feel so much gratitude that I was able to share that experience. And you may notice a growing desire then to speak more openly, show up more fully, move in a world with less hesitation. In some ways, that's just what I just did. That's the natural progression of healing. When the contraction clears, expression begins to expand. Expression can't begin to expand if you're not allowing yourself to heal and do the clearing work. And whew, feel this in my heart, y'all. Tell you, those heart activations. Whew, all right. So the energy arriving really reflects this shift. After months of inner work, shadow surfacing, emotional clearing, April brings a vibrational lift, an energetic push that feels more open, more creative, and more momentum based. And for many, that will feel like finally coming up for air after a long underwater stretch, if you will, or you've been holding your breath for a long time. This stagnation and emotional heaviness begins to lift, and in its place, a stronger sense of direction really starts to emerge. And the next phase isn't about rushing. It is about it's about recognizing that energy has changed, that energy has shifted, that there's space again to dream, to move, to act. You might find yourself asking, where do I want to go now? What's calling for my energy? How do I want to show up? This time from the version of me that's more whole, more aware, more ready. These are the real beginnings, not dramatic overhauls, but subtle, steady movements toward a more aligned expression of who you've become. And there's certain excitement that can come with this kind of energy, a feeling of movement after months of inner heaviness or uncertainty. But just because momentum is returning doesn't mean you have to jump into action right away. Human, slow down, slow your roll, take a pause. Don't be so ready to go into doing this. Enjoy this space. And if you're not sure what's next, that is okay. Give yourself permission to be in the I don't know space, to pause, to observe. Let the energy marinate, let the energy integrate. Trust that clarity will come. Let yourself use the tools. Be in the process of presence. And while you're waiting for that clarity, I don't know, let yourself go do a hobby that you enjoy. Maybe cook a meal that you like. Maybe learn a language. I've been doing Duolingo. I've been doing Duolingo for years. You might hear me talking about it. Take some time to do something that you've never done before but wanted to. This isn't about forcing a new beginning. It is about the subtle opening and choosing when and how to engage with it. You may still be navigating changes and challenges as well, both personally and collectively, because we're still in the clearing process. But something inside is shifting. And you might feel a sturdier sense of yourself emerging in inner steadiness or clarity that you haven't felt in a while, where you may have recently felt like you were being tossed around by emotional waves or caught in the undertow of uncertainty. And now there is more internal grounding. Take note of it. Take note of it in the tangible. It's as if you found your footing, and instead of being pushed around, you're starting to steer. For many of you, you may not know exactly where you're heading yet. That's okay. But for some that are ready and you're no longer stuck, you're in motion, inspiring motion out of a consciousness space or about to move forward, that's a powerful place to be too. And no matter where you are, it's all okay. You're exactly where you need to be. All right, the astrological events and cosmic influences connected to this energy theme 3. Mercury direct in Pisces April 7th. Mercury enters Aries April 16th. Mars enters Leo April 18th. As Mercury stations direct April 7th and enters Aries April 16th, Mars enters Leo April 18th. We begin to feel the fire of clarity, courageous rebirth, and after months of inner processing, the energy of inspired action returns. This is the ignition point where momentum begins to rise, fueled by self-trust and refined clarity. The internal recalibration of March now meets a forward path in April. This theme aligns with Mercury directs motion and movement in Aries and Mars entering Leo. After months of internal clearing, you're ready to move forward boldly with the heart. And this is the momentum with meaning, motion led by inner clarity. So the integration tip is move in alignment with your light truth, not from urgency, but from grounded confidence. Even small steps will feel propelled now. Let aligned, inspiring action replace urgency. Let passion meet presence. All right, the next theme number 4, identity in flux, navigating the chrysalis of personal and collective transformation. So it's sort of similar to the last one, but it's slightly different. When I was talking to the guys, I was like, doesn't it seem same? And they were like, it's slightly different. So then once I was, downloading and bringing it all together. I was like, okay, I understand now. All right, so let's get to it. As momentum builds, identity shifts intensify. You're being invited to let go of outdated self perceptions and allow the new self to emerge through the chrysalis. This is a direct continuation of the previous theme as well as theme number one, but deeper. We're in a collective phase of energetic molting where old layers of self are falling away, but the new skin has yet to fully form. It's no surprise if you found yourself asking questions like, who am I? Why don't I recognize myself or the world anymore? What is happening? What is going on? I always have these moments where I like imagine like rubbing my eyes going, "Rrr, rrr, rrr," like what is happening here? Or like little windshield wipers on my eyes, like clearing away, like, what am I seeing here? I don't know why that makes me laugh. But we're old layers of self falling away, but the new skin has yet to fully form. So that's kind of where we are. These are not just surface level musings. They're reflections of a deeper evolutionary process that is underway for all of us. This is what we call the chrysalis phase, a sacred threshold between what was and what is becoming. We're in that in between state. The outer shell might look intact, but everything inside is being reorganized. We are in a reconstruction phase, which is why this really goes with theme one. It's messy, y'all. It's often also disorienting, and it can leave you feeling unanchored, as if the reference points that you once relied on within yourself and others or in a world at large no longer held. That is why doing grounding practices are so important right now. They're always important, but really important because we're in this shifting space. So, this identity recalibration is both personal and collective. You might notice your values shifting, your interests evolving, relationships you once relied on may suddenly feel out of sync, while new connections begin to emerge, resonating more with who you're becoming rather than who you've been. And then globally, systems, institutions, and group identities are being reconstructed at a dizzying pace. It can feel destabilizing, but it's also part of the necessary dismantling that precedes lasting change. From an energy work perspective, this level of identity flux often activates the solar plexus and heart chakras. So you may feel heightened sensitivity, emotional vulnerability, or a deep inner pressure to reclaim parts of yourself that have long been suppressed. That's not regression, it's restoration. So with this energy perspective, then this level of identity flux that does activate the solar plexus and heart chakras, understand then the solar plexus governs our personal power, will, sense of direction, while the heart is a beneficial portal to our intuitive truth and emotional authenticity. As these energy centers recalibrate, you may notice increased sensitivity, inner restlessness, or a powerful urge to reclaim dormant aspects of yourself. You might also feeling things happening in your stomach. Your stomach all of a sudden might be like, wow, my stomach's a bit upset. That is because there's a reorganization happening. And you're like, whoa, what did I eat yesterday? There's a reorganization happening. So you might have stomach challenges right now. Things that, wow, something's moving around. I definitely noticed the last couple of days, I was like, what is going on with my stomach? I feel like I have like sour stomach. That feels uncomfortable. And then I did a meditation and the guys are like, it's the solar plexus. There's a reorganization happening. Remember? Oh yeah, but I feel does not feel so good in the stomach. So then I did energy work, but it still is lasting. Today's the first day that I've felt stabilized in terms of my solar plexus and stomach. Whew. I had sour stomach for like a couple days. That was uncomfortable. And today was the first day that I've not had that. I had sour stomach probably for like 3 days in a row, and today's the first day that I feel really restored. So this isn't regression, it's restoration. And even if you do all this work and have these tools, this still can happen to your body. And that's why I'm sharing with you my experience as well. So last month, one of the energy themes was also awakening. The awakening and intuitive heart guided us to begin trusting our inner wisdom. That was one of the energy themes of March. Now we're being called into the next stage of that evolution, embodying it. Rather than just sensing our light truth, we're being asked to align our identity with it. So this month marks a shift from intuitive awareness to integrative action, where your emerging self must now take form, grounded in purpose, shaped by heart, expressed with clarity through the solar plexus. The key here is not to rush to figure it all out, but to stay present with the unfolding, giving yourself permission to not know, giving others space to also shift too, allowing the in between to be fertile ground instead of fearing it. This is not a loss of self, it is a restructuring, a reconstruction of self on a higher octave. And remember, just because the mirror is showing you someone unfamiliar doesn't mean showing you something unfamiliar. It doesn't mean that you're lost. It means you're evolving. So again, just because there's a mirror showing up, possibly in your world, that something feels unfamiliar, it doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're evolving. The question isn't who was I or how do I go back to that? The real invitation is who am I becoming? Who am I becoming? So taking some time to answer that. Who am I becoming? And then the next question is, can I meet the version of myself with curiosity, grace, compassion, loving kindness? Can I meet the version of myself with grace, curiosity, and compassion? You may be realizing that you're no longer recognizing parts of yourself, and that's okay. Bringing in that compassion and grace. What used to motivate you doesn't land the same way. The roles, routines, or relationships that once anchored your identity may now feel like they belong to someone else. It can be disorienting, like standing in the in between, where the map of who you were has faded, but the new version hasn't fully come into focus. It can be confusing, y'all. This space between identities can be confusing, but it's also called a recalibration zone. It's not a problem to be it's not a problem to be solved. It is a transition to be honored. It is the crystallized state. Instead of panicking when clarity hasn't arrived, allow yourself to trust the process. You're not stuck. You're undergoing an internal rearrangement, and it's not linear. You won't move in a neat predictable path from who you were to who you're becoming. I know we all want to. We all want to be in that that linear path, but you won't. You'll zigzag through memories, emotions, unexpected shifts and desires, surprising insights. Think of it less like following a straight line and more like tracing, if you like astrology or the universe or stars, think of it less like following a straight line and more like tracing constellations. You need the full sky before the pattern reveals itself. Be patient, be kind, let yourself unravel where needed. And collectively, we're in the same territory. Humanity is shedding outdated frameworks, frequencies, grieving the illusions of stability, and slowly waking up to the deeper truths. There is, in this experience, there is still shock in the system, visible in everything from the global movements to nervous system dysregulation, but the shock won't last forever. Over the upcoming months, what once felt like maybe being stuck or in some ways feeling paralyzed in a situation of shock, if you will give way to movement, to mobilization, to clear, heart led action. And you're not behind, you're right on time. So let your energy truth emerge at its own pace. And remember, identity isn't just about who you are becoming, it is about what you're releasing to make room for what wants to rise. Across the globe, more voices are beginning to rise. People are speaking out against control in terms of structures, calling attention to imbalances, refusing to stay silent in the face of suppression. This isn't just political, it's energetic. It's the collective nervous system pushing back against long held distortions and saying, enough. But this phase of awakening, of reclaiming identity, is also delicate. It's not meant to be rushed. So if you find yourself yearning for clarity, demanding to know who are you are now, or grasping for answers about your place in this shifting world, pause. Go into mindfulness tools. Let go of the pressure to define yourself too soon. You're not at the finish line yet. You're in a metamorphic state, space. You're in the in between. You're in the chrysalis. In this chrysalis state, the old layers fall away slowly. Parts of you are dissolving so that more aligned can take form. It's natural to feel raw, unsure, or even lost in the process. But trust what's dissolving isn't meant to come with you. And what's taking shape is far more true to who you're becoming. Speak with others, share what's moving through you. You'll find that this unraveling of identity isn't just something happening in isolation, it's everywhere. It's global. You're not the only one navigating this liminal space. While it may feel lonely at times, you're moving through a collective rite of passage. Patience is your ally now. Self compassion is your anchor. The truth of who you are is emerging, not all at once, but piece by piece through presence, honesty, and the willingness to let go of what no longer reflects your light essence. So, the astrological events and cosmic influence connected to energy theme 4 is Sun conjunct Chiron in Aries, April 12th, Libra full moon, April 12th, 13th. The ongoing influence of Chiron conjunct the Sun, April 12th, supports deep healing around identity, self worth. Meanwhile, the Saturn North Nod conjunction April 14th urges us into soul responsibility. The theme is a continuation of March's focus on intuitive heart awakening, but now we're moving from heart opening into identity reconstruction. This theme is amplified by the Siron Chiron conjunction and the Libra full moon. It brings heart centered clarity to identity shifts. You're not who you were, and that's the point. Let your healing inform your becoming. And here's an integration tip. Don't rush to define yourself. Let the new identity emerge through experience, healing, and presence. You're not lost. You're being rewritten. This is a reconstruction phase. Trust the shedding. What feels unfamiliar in terms right now is space being made for authenticity. So trust the process, my friends. With that, we're moving on to theme number 5. Revealing the unseen, truth as a catalyst for personal and collective. Your inner transformation is mirrored externally. This theme captures the collective unraveling of truths. It relates to the astrology of Saturn, plus also the full moon, which brings in revelations and karmic reality checks. So, as we move deeper into April, the energy will continue to pull back the curtain, both personally and globally. What's rising now is not necessarily new, yet it may be newly visible. And it's becoming also impossible to ignore. Long buried truths, suppressed emotions and realities, and hidden dynamics are coming to the surface. And for many, it can actually feel deeply unsettling and even feel disorienting. These are not just world events, headlines, or collective revelations. They're also internal inner awakenings, the same vibrational energy frequencies that are shaking old systems, showing imbalances in systems, governments, global structures are also mirroring back to us the places, the patterns we've possibly outgrown. The subtle compromises, inherited beliefs, emotional entanglements that have shaped our lives behind the scenes, possibly showing the imbalances in our own lives, where we've been out of alignment, the coping mechanisms we've actually clung to, the unspoken dynamics in relationships, the beliefs where we've maybe inherited but never questioned. And now it's all being brought into view. It's all being illuminated now. The light is illuminating it. And y'all, once you see it, you can't unsee it, no matter how much you want to unsee it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, just this past week or so, I watched the movie Wicked, and I could not help but think of The Wizard of Oz, which I watched many times as a child. how the great and powerful Oz is ultimately revealed to be just a man behind a curtain. And there's obviously some aspects in terms of the movie Wicked as well, or if you've seen the play, in terms of manipulating images and sound to maintain the illusion of control. Whew, what a metaphor for this moment in time. So, whether it's within governments, relationships, or the stories we've told ourselves about who we are and what's possible, the veil is lifting, which is also interesting when you really think about even like Wizard of Oz to now Wicked and some of the storytelling in terms of looking at now how from the Wizard of Oz, if you grew up watching it, in terms of the Wicked Witch of the West, of what she may have represented, to now, if you watched, Wicked or have seen the play, the musical, you may now have a different perspective of what may have happened. And again, what a metaphor for this time, right? So, whether it's governments, relationships, or the stories we've told ourselves about who we are and what's possible, the veil is lifting. We're realizing that what we believed was real may have been a projection, a performance, or a protection strategy we no longer need. And this is the essence of shadow work. And y'all, it's not easy. This is the nature of shadow work at scale. As energy workers know, truth, when it finally emerges, doesn't always land so gently. It can activate the nervous system, shake up emotional layers, stir grief, anger, sadness, loss, disbelief. It can feel like the ground is shifting beneath us. And in a sense, it is. Light truth doesn't always arrive gently. It can really activate the nervous system. It can bring in not just grief, but also shock. It can also, suppression can be cleared and then anger can rise. But in the realm of energy work, we know this: clarity is power, and power aligned with light truth becomes liberation. But this discomfort isn't punishment, it's part of the recalibration. The light doesn't come just to soothe, it comes to clarify. And clarity, when it arrives, often demands inspiring action, an honest conversation, sometimes a hard boundary, a change in direction. The same applies collectively. As systems reveal what has long been operating behind the scenes, we're being called into greater discernment, responsibility, and resilience. You may feel like you're seeing people, situations, or even yourself with new eyes. And that can bring up a mix of grief and liberation. Let yourself process what's coming up. Some light truths will feel sharp, even shocking. But the invitation to stay present, not to bypass, not to numb, not to numb out, but to let the light truth move through your awareness so it can initiate real change. So just understand that you might notice you're seeing things differently. Maybe how you've abandoned your own needs, how a dynamic has never really been mutual. I know that can be really challenging and hard. Or how a belief you've carried doesn't actually belong to you at all. These moments are not setbacks, they're openings. This discomfort, the discomfort is a signal that your system is recalibrating to a higher integrity. Globally, the same is unfolding. Systems that once appeared strong are cracking. Narratives are being challenged. What was hidden is rising. And with that comes a profound call to responsibility, not just for what we do, but for who we choose to believe, support, and embody. So this month is actually inviting us to ask, Here are some journal questions. You can pause this too to write them down, and at some point I'll put them in the show notes. Where have I been in denial? Where have I been giving my power away? So, where have I been in denial? Where have I been giving my power away? What truth is ready to be acknowledged? What truth is ready to be acknowledged? What illusion am I ready to see through? What light truths about myself or the world am I ready to finally face? Where is my energy no longer aligned with the story I've been telling? Where is my energy no longer aligned with the story that I've been telling? So, with this, my friends, let yourself journal, take some time to process because awareness is the first step in energetic freedom. When you meet truth with compassion, not fear, you create space for real transformation, not just personally, but also collectively. Truth, light truth, isn't here to destroy you, it's here to free you. So let April be a time to courageously face what's been concealed, not with judgment, but with mindfulness, with compassion, with presence, not with fear, but with grounded awareness. The curtain is being pulled back, not to expose your failures, but to help you reclaim your light truth. Because once you see the illusion clearly, you can choose far more aspects in terms of authentic experiences. So you can choose something far more authentic, your own empowered, embodied light path forward. And even for those of you who are deeply committed to light truth and have been, whether you identify as activists, light workers, conscious on the road of consciousness, or seekers of light truth, whatever it is you call, it's important to also acknowledge the impact that revelation has had on your human, on the mental, emotional, physical bodies, on the nervous system, on the energy body. There is a difference between mentally knowing something and fully embodying the emotional weight of that knowing. Let's say someone close to you, perhaps a friend, it could be a partner, it could be a mentor, that they reveal a truth or is revealed by a truth that completely shifts your perspective of who you thought they were. The initial reaction might be shock, confusion, or even betrayal. But what's often more disorienting is what follows, the internal reckoning. Because once the outer illusion collapses, your inner world starts to reorganize too. It's no longer just about what they did or didn't do. The deeper impact is how it challenges you, your story, your memories, your sense of emotional safety. Energetically, it shakes the foundation of what you thought was true, and your system begins to recalibrate in response. And this is where real healing happens, not by bypassing the pain or rushing to forgiveness, but by allowing the emotions and energetic rearrangement to unfold. It's a process of integrating light truth into the body, of gently rebalancing your inner field to align with what is now real, not with what once was. And y'all, I know we so want to sometimes just press the fast forward button when we used to really I guess in some ways we still use the fast forward button if we've recorded something. Um, we can't though. It just takes time. I know we want to rush forward in things at times, but sometimes it really just takes physical time. Sometimes it just takes time and a ton of compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. So, even for those who have, again, long been called on this path of, possibly if you want to call it light worker or practitioner path, who've been awakened to the systematic illusion and actively seeking to reveal what's been hidden, there really is a difference between wanting the truth and experiencing the emotional reality of it landing in the body. These times are marked by an ongoing unveiling where layers of shadow, both personal and collective, continue to surface. And while this is really necessary for transformation, y'all, it is just not always easy. And sometimes it is really uncomfortable. So, light truth, especially when it challenges the narratives we've clung to or the structures we've relied on, can feel really destabilizing. For some, it arrives like shock to the systems. And so, if you are getting shocked in your system, then in an energy clearing, you want to ask to clear the shock waves. So, if you do an energy meditation, to ask to clear the shock waves. For others, it confirms what is always sensed beneath the surface. But you also have to be careful with that, where you're not going into the righteousness of the ego of like I knew it. Because then that can lower your vibrational frequency because you're getting caught in the right or wrong aspect of it. And remember, it's not right, wrong. It's not good or bad. It's the isness of the business. And so it's then letting yourself understand things are unfolding and that you may have had a knowingness of something, but that doesn't make it things right or wrong. And so you have to understand that discernment. So either way, though, it can move through the nervous system and the emotional body and the energetic field in profound ways. So even those who feel relatively steady may find themselves feeling the collective intensity, the ripple of grief, the confusion, or vulnerability that isn't entirely their own because it's coming from the collective. So this is especially true for anybody who's a highly sensitive person, for empaths, energetically sensitive beings, whatever it is you want to call them, frequency feelers, who may be absorbing the global emotional climate just as much as processing their own. So if that's something that you resonate with, you want to make sure to clear yourself and then also clearing from the collective as well. I will say it can be really challenging though if you are somebody who's called to be in this experience of supporting processing aspects of the collective as well. So if you're feeling off, heavy, anxious, or overwhelmed, it's not necessarily because something is wrong with you. It really may be because something very real is shifting within and around you. We are in an era of accelerated light truth telling, and light truth can create reverberations through every level of our being. So, this is a moment to extend yourself and others radical compassion, radical grace, radical mindfulness, and loving kindness, and also radical patience. And also lean into tools. And to also understand that dysregulation of our nervous system doesn't mean failure. It is a sign that your system is trying to integrate new realities, new levels of realities. Prioritize your grounding practices. Come back to the breath. Come back to the breath, your life force energy. Breathing in life force energy, breathing out what no longer supports you. Give yourself time and space to feel without needing to fix. And above all, don't make your discomfort mean you're doing something wrong. I cannot say that enough. You're human. We're here to learn, grow, and evolve. We're here to learn, which means mistakes are going to be made, y'all. If you once learned how to ride a bike, you probably were wobbly on the bike. Maybe you even fell off of the bike. You're like, I made a mistake. I didn't do this when I was riding the bike. I didn't balance enough. You're learning, you're growing, you're evolving. You're human. You're here to be human. You're adjusting. You're multidimensional. And that's more than enough. So let April be the month where light truth becomes not something to brace against, but something to breathe into. Let it strip away what no longer supports and show you what is ready to be reclaimed in the light. So the astrological events and cosmic influences connection to this energy theme vibe is Libra full moon, April 12th, 13th, Saturn North node conjunction, April 14th. So this theme is really about then amplifying clarity and the power of communication. The lunar energy brings to light what has been hidden with while Mercury in Aries helps us speak to truth and face reality with courage. These energies support soul responsibility, emotional alchemy, helping us to confront illusions and liberate ourselves through truth, light truth. So it's really then allowing us to reveal the hidden karmic lessons, which connects to last month as well. And also it's encouraging then the light truth telling personally, globally as a path toward healing and responsibility. Integration tip. Let what's being revealed to you guide you. Light truth may sting at first, but it also sets you free. Light truth is what is coming to light. Trust what is coming to light then. It's showing you the next step. Let light truth be your teacher even when it's uncomfortable. Grace lives in clarity. Grace lives in clarity. So, with that clarity, then, even if you're uncomfortable, recognizing I'm uncomfortable and I'm going to allow myself to be in grace in this moment, I'm going to let go and trust to allow myself to be in grace because then it's living in that clarity. So let's take a nice deep breath. All right, friends. Let's move on to theme number 6. Theme 6. We have 9 themes, by the way. Theme number 6, unraveling to rebuild, rising through multidimensional chaos. So we acknowledge that chaos is part of creation, the deconstruction of outdated systems, both personally and globally, continues to activate the solar plexus, but now we see it as a fuel for clarity, not just confusion. So we're living in a time of profound unraveling. So what may look like global chaos on the surface is actually part of a deeper energetic restructuring, reconstruction, both in the collective and within each of us. The old paradigm, power systems, and identities that once defined the world are breaking apart. And while this dissolution can feel destabilizing, it's also necessary. Just like in the healing process, the system must first reveal as its dysfunction in order to heal. And boy, is the dysfunction revealing itself in some places. The world as we've known it, friends, is being deconstructed. We are witnessing upheavals in politics, institutions, health systems, social dynamics, all echoing a deeper invitation to reassess what we value and reclaim our power as conscious co creators. Some people may respond to this with shock or fear. Others may feel a strange sense of excitement or clarity, recognizing that we are now at the very crossroads that mystics, seers, and wisdom keepers have long spoken about. This isn't just change, it's transmutation. This is the energy alchemy. Even if you feel like a passive observer in the outer world, your inner world is likely being stirred. We've talked about this in various other themes. They all are resulting from the beginning of us talking about reconstruction. The chaos aspects of the external world, it can sometimes act like an energetic tuning fork, where I feel like sometimes with the cosmic energies coming in, your body is like a tuning fork, can feel it. But the chaos of the external world, it can just really act like a tuning fork. They just keep showing me a tuning fork vibrating through our bodies, particularly the solar plexus right now. And so, with that, you may notice digestive sensitivities or a sense of inner tension as your personal relationship with willpower, identity, and agency gets activated. Y'all, at the end of March, my stomach I started feeling like I had sour stomach. And I was like, what is going on? And it was like multiple days of like sour stomach, like no matter what I ate. If I had a cracker, I had sour stomach. If I had something else, I had sour stomach. And you know, of course, I'm like focused on the external of what I'm putting into my body. And then finally, like my guides came in and they just suggested, why don't you do a meditation? And so then I sat down in a meditation and they were then showing me that coming into April, this is one of the themes for April, and that the solar plexus was going to be activated, and that this is possibly going to cause, in terms of some of the digestive sensitivities in people. And so it was already happening for me, though, like the week prior to coming into April. So, so if that's you, if you're also experiencing this or sometime during April, I feel you. I understand because those 3 days in March was not comfortable. And then once I did that meditation, I then was guided to do energy work on my stomach and then asking, the support to rebalance and then integrate any other energies that needed to come in and then do some clearing work. And then I did that for a couple days. And then the next day I was fine. Like I woke up okay. So now I'm okay. So I share that with you because it was probably like a 3-day process. Um, so you may notice this with yourself as well. So the solar plexus, if you are unfamiliar with it in terms of being a chakra, it governs our sense of self and direction and is being recalibrated to support a more authentic and soul aligned expression of power. So this isn't, maybe this won't happen for everyone, just to let you know, because sometimes with the themes, some resonate for people and some don't. Maybe everyone will have an experience with some of them. It just depends. So this isn't just about watching the world shift. It's about embodying the shift. We are here to be human and to experience the physical world. So the question is, will you be swept away or swept along by the waves of chaos? Or will you become a conscious participant in the restructuring, in the reconstruction? What is your level in terms of being part of the reconstruction? So, this is really calling and connecting to then self leadership, energy awareness, and inner alignment that are more essential than ever. The more grounded and clear you are in your own field, the more you're able to navigate this transformative period without absorbing the dissonance around you. And for many, this month may catalyze a desire to step forward in new ways, whether through activism, art, dancing, music, teaching, healing, or simply living with more integrity and heart. There's no simple or there's no single right or wrong way. There's none of that. There's no right response to what's happening in the world. Whatever your calling is your calling. There is, though, a deeper invitation to reconnect with your inner compass and to remember that you are part of the solution, not in just what you do, but in how you be. So this month, stay rooted, stay awake, stay attuned to the larger energy currents and your role within them. And if there's any kind of chaos, just know that even amid chaos, there's creation. And what we create next depends on the clarity, courage, and consciousness we bring to this moment. Because remember, Earth and the universe, they've been doing this dance for a while with humans. This isn't the Earth's first rodeo with the humans. No. We may have had past lives, but we're in a new experience. So, what you create next depends on clarity, courage, and consciousness and what you will bring to this moment. And then with that, reclaiming your inner will, your sense of direction, your power, your purpose. It can be especially challenging during times of high disruption, but moments of collective chaos, while destabilizing, are also transformative. They shake loose what no longer supports and stir movement where there's been stagnation. So, letting yourself reclaim your sense of direction, inner authority can feel, especially sometimes, it can feel challenging. It can feel difficult when everything around you feels unstable. Yet, That's where you lean into tools, doing energy work, resetting the nervous system, regrounding, realigning, shifting from 3D, 5D or higher if you haven't already done so, connecting to your higher self soul, using the tools again, again, and again, and again, and again. Because chaos can have a way of clouding clarity, but here's the deeper light truth. The very turbulence we see and feel isn't just noise, it's a catalyst. It is a clearing that's happening, it is an awakening that's happening. We live in a multidimensional world, and right now, people are vastly experiencing different realities, different timelines, different levels of awareness. Some people are operating in fear, others are in awakening. Some are bouncing between dimensions moment to moment. Some are like going from one timeline to another. This world is fractured across perceptions. But what unites us is that we are all witnessing the same larger story unfold, each from our own unique lens. That's something interesting to think about, right? So, right now, we're not just living in a changing world, we're moving through multiple layers of reality at once. The planet is vibrating across many frequencies simultaneously. And people are having vastly different experiences depending on their level of awareness, embodiment, energy alignment. We are occupying different timelines, holding contrasting truths, and navigating multidimensional shifts. It's fascinating to think about, right? Am I the only one? Is like, this is so interesting. Wow. No wonder why my soul is like, yes, I will sign up for that earth experience again. All right. Meanwhile, my human is like, what is this roller coaster ride? Oh, humaning. But despite these vast differences at times, we're all impacted by the global unraveling. So even if we're having different experiences, we're still all impacted by the global unraveling. This systematic, the system, this I can't even say that word, the systemic breakdowns, the systemic breakdowns, the societal aspects that we're seeing that in some ways are just coming undone, or accelerated revelations that are happening around the world. I mean, like, wow. This isn't just something we witness from the outside. It moves through us, enters our bodies, stirs our nervous systems, and activates our energy fields. So this this global upheaval isn't just external. And the guides really wanted me to talk about this because, especially being in the US at times, like there's an aspect of a disconnect where you're going to vote for something, and then once you vote it's like one and done, and then off you merry go on your merry way because they're going to take care of that, and you're just going to go live in your isolated world until it impacts you. And no matter what, like, everyone has an opportunity in some ways in terms of the voting aspects of their say, yet then when it's all counted, we're all then living through the experience together. We are in oneness of this. So even if you are not in the United States, if you are in another country, we are all in this together because we are one globe. We are in, as I like to say, we are in the snow globe together. We are in the snow globe together. So you might not like someone's choices. They may not like your choices. But no matter what, despite all of our differences, we are all impacted by the global unraveling. This global upheaval isn't just external, it reverberates through the nervous system, the body, and especially the energy field. No matter what, who, when, where you voted, what you think your perception is, on some level, it is affecting you, whether you want to realize it or not. It reverberates through the nervous system, the body, especially the energy field. Sometimes when I'm saying words with a lot of R's in it, I have to have a moment. And sometimes if I go too fast, that's what just happens to me. I grew up in New England, in Massachusetts, and when I was around 17, I went to visit my brother at college, and his roommate had went to the high school with my brother, so I'd known him from our high school days, and he had told me how he was actively, um, working on letting go of his Boston accent, and I was like, "What? What do you mean? That's so interesting." And, um, and it's because a lot of people would say when they'd hear his accent, they would say, "Oh, can you say pak the ka and have it yad?" And I know it's interesting, right? It's interesting. I love the Boston accent. And so I was like, "Oh." And so then he taught me how he was doing it. So then my high school senior year, I practice on letting go of my Boston accent. That being said though, what I've now learned all these years later, there are words that I still stumble on. And so it's just, as far as way you think you go from where you were born, no matter where you are, there you are. And that's why, it's so interesting, this human experience. We can learn, grow, and evolve, but there's elements and aspects of us in terms of our physical being of where we were cultivated in some sense that that it's still in our belonging. And it's part of our becoming, which is what we talked about earlier in terms of the identity flux. There's aspects of you that are going to come to completion, and then there's aspects of you that are going to move into the next wave of your becoming. And so when I just had that moment of like when it reverberates, I just thought about my Boston accent, and it just brought me so much joy because it's a part of my next wave of becoming. And that's just awesome. Like, and it also just reminds me of just that 17-year-old gal that I was too, where, she did a whole year of really practicing changing, like learning how to say R's, not because school demanded it, but because it was so interesting that you can have an accent and then also you can also learn how to say the R's. Like, it fascinated me. I'm somebody who is interested in learning, growing, and evolving. I'm very curious. I like to learn and try things. And that 17-year-old girl was curious about that. That's so interesting. I remember saying that to him, that's so interesting. Huh, really? That works? You can learn how to say your R's? I was so fascinating. I was fascinated by it. And I was like, I'm going to try it too. I'm going to see. And lo and behold, I learned how to mostly say my R's. So anyway, so this is all part of the becoming. And even this global upheaval, it's not just external. It's going through the nervous system. And while it initially brings waves sometimes of fear, grief, disorientation, which can feel very uncomfortable, which is why using tools are so important. But that very energy, when moved and integrated, often fuels new momentum. New momentum comes in. So when people are talking about like new beginnings, fresh starts, or they're wanting the momentum, new momentum to come in, this is how it happens. And many have already been feeling this like new momentum, this new momentum coming in, this renewed sense of urgency to do something meaningful, to align your life more intentionally, to act. I already can see it in myself in various ways. There has been moments where in the past I haven't wanted to share things sometimes on social media and stories, specifically on Instagram, about, you know, this, and that. But lately, I have found like, you know what? I'm going to share this from a space of mindfulness and also just some of the aspects that I've learned about, trauma informed practices or other things I've learned about emotions. And it has been really just this inner aspect of momentum coming in, this inner new momentum that's fueling this new momentum that's moving forward, this forward movement, a renewed sense of urgency to do something meaningful. And what's interesting is that, I've been doing it in the past couple days, and I can't tell you how many people that have like, DM'd me and mentioned something, and it's just like created more community connections, and it's just really feels really inspiring. So this renewed sense of urgency to do something meaningful, to align your life more intentionally, to act in inspired action. So even if frustration or fatigue arise from watching systems crumble or light truths being sometimes, or things just sometimes things being distorted, truths being distorted, you're still being moved. You're being asked to look at your willpower, your purpose, your direction. So, your willpower, your purpose, your direction. What is your relationship to your willpower? Where are you in relationship to your purpose? Where are you in relationship to your direction? Have you been checking in? What is happening in your experience? The solar plexus is the energetic center tied to your sense of will, your personal power, and your identity. It is highly active this month. So, again, things that you may notice in connection to the solar plexus. You might notice digestive issues, sudden energy shifts, or a rising call to clarify what you're here to contribute to. What you are here to contribute to. And again, sometimes this intensity registers as fear, anger, confusion, or deep fatigue. But eventually, the friction can catalyze clarity. So the friction can bring in clarity. So the very disturbances that leave us shaken can also become that momentum that then moves us forward, that kind of propels you forward. Especially if you've been really stuck, that propelling forward is probably going to feel like a jolt. Like you're going to feel jolted because it is going to be whipping you forward, because it's going to need that momentum to get you up and going. Like if you have been stuck in a rut for a long time and you have been using resistance to not having willingness to participate in what you're here to do, that is probably going to propel you up and jolt you awake. And so just know it may not be very comfortable, but you can use tools to support yourself. Because what's happening is that this kind of global tension doesn't just happen around us, it shapes us. It invites us to step into a higher level of presence, choice, and self-leadership. This is not about controlling chaos. It is about staying awake within it. So rather than be consumed by the noise, you can anchor deeper into yourself. Can you let the fire of what's breaking down fuel the birth of what's ready to build? We are in a reconstruction phase. We're in a rebuilding phase. You might feel this activation again most strongly in the stomach, solar plexus, the energy center tied to power, personal power, identity, inner will. And again, you might feel emotional swings, which can signal energetic recalibrations happening deep within. And the question isn't how can I avoid this chaos? But rather it's how do I stay rooted in myself as the world transforms? How do I stay rooted in myself as the world transforms? So, your job then this month is to notice how external shifts are affecting your internal landscape. You don't have to force your way forward, but you're being asked to listen, to engage, and to remember that your energy matters, your voice matters, your choices matter. Even in the noise, there is direction. Even in the breakdown, there is momentum. Let what shakes you also beneficially shape you. Usually a shaking up is like a waking up too. Sometimes with shock, like it wakes you up. It wakes you up to become present to the moment. So as you move through the month, remember, chaos is not always destruction. It can also be an initiation, and it's opening the way for creation. The breakdowns you witness, both within and without, are openings, invitations, beneficial portals to new configurations of power, one that comes not from force, but from alignment. So let this be a time where you return to your center, not to escape the world, but to engage with it more intentionally. When the external noise becomes too loud, pause, place your hand on your stomach, your solar plexus, breathe into your power center. Breathe into your power center and ask, what am I choosing to hold right now? Where am I directing my energy? So let's do it together. One hand on your stomach. I'm going to put one hand on my heart. Breathe into your power center. And ask, what am I choosing to hold right now? What am I choosing to hold right now? Where am I directing my energy? What am I choosing to hold right now? Where am I directing my energy? And take another deep breath. You're not here to carry the weight of the world. You're here to be a conscious participant in its evolution. Stay present to what is rising. Tend to your energy field with love and care and kindness and compassion and mindfulness. Anchor yourself in the values that are now coming, not your past, but your present. And trust that through this swirling multidimensional reconfiguration, reconstruction, a new world is slowly, it's slowly, vibrationally taking shape through you, through us together. This is your time to reclaim your will, embody your clarity, walk your light truth, no matter how loud the storm is. Lean into your tools. Okay, here's the astrological events and cosmic influence connection to energy theme 6. Taurus new moon, April 27th, Mars and Leo, April 18th. The lingering effects of March's eclipses and the Taurus new moon, April 27th, speaks to this theme. It is a transitional period where old systems, internal, external, are breaking down to make space for new. The Taurus new moon offers a stabilizing force, helping us to plant grounded intentions as we navigate chaos. The pressure we feel is not destruction, it's creative dismantling. The chaos of transformation is part of the creation program. That's so interesting. Program. I said program. The chaos of transformation is part of the creation process. Not program. The theme is supported by Mars' assertive energy in Leo and the stabilizing Taurus new moon. So let the inner unraveling make way for structures that align with your evolving light truth. Integration tip. Don't fear the unraveling. Don't be anxious about the unraveling. It's happening no matter. Learn to lean into it and learn to use tools for it. And understand it's preparing fertile ground for authentic reconstruction. Anchor in the breath. Your breath is your life force energy. Stay in your center. Reground, realign. Listen for what's being born. Stay present in the discomfort. Root in your power, not the noise. Root into your power, not the noise. All right, theme number 7. Intuitive emergence, activating psychic sensitivity and expanded awareness. I was excited when this one and the next couple came through, which I kind of already saw in March because I was in experiences of it. All right. So intuitive clarity emerges naturally after identity recalibration. As the dust settles, my friends, a new sensitivity arises. Psychic awareness increases, inner knowingness and inner knowing strengthens. Mercury in Aries and Saturn conjunct the North Node awaken new intuitive gifts. So April brings a noticeable shift in perception, like fog lifting after a long disorienting stretch. As we cross the threshold into clearer energetic terrain, many will begin to notice an internal sharpening of awareness. It may not arrive all at once, but rather as subtle clicks into place, quiet knowings, gut instincts, inner prompts that feel too clear to ignore. As the energetic field continues to stabilize, then, after months of internal and collective upheaval, we're being introduced into a new kind of sensitivity, one that's less about emotional overwhelm and more about precise perception. For many, this marks the emergence of heightened awareness, heightened intuition, heightened psychic abilities, sharper, more precise intuitive hits, deeper energetic sensing, and a increased capacity to discern truth from distortion, both within and around you. After emotional recalibrations and identity shifts of the recent months, our intuitive systems are like starting to come back online in a more stabilized and attuned way. This isn't just about accessing more insight. It's about recognizing how your perception is evolving as your energy field clears and your nervous system rebalances. This expanded perception isn't necessarily huge, loud, dramatic. In fact, it often arrives quietly through subtle inner knowings, that inner knowingness, bodily cues, synchronicities, or sudden clarity where there was once confusion. If March was the deep excavation and the energetic clearing of outdated patterns, programs, limited beliefs, fragmented identities, April brings the integration phase where the dust begins to settle and new truths start to crystallize. So you may find yourself noticing more energetically, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychically, whether it's reading between the lines of someone's words, sensing the underlying tone of a situation, or having flashes of insight about your next step. Your field is tuning into finer frequencies. So, and with this new level of attunement comes a responsibility to pause before reacting, to let what you're perceiving land and to not rush the next move. Working with your psychic abilities, there is a learning curve because sometimes it can also be super confusing. When you're getting psychic information, you're like, wait, is this for present moment? Am I supposed to ask the person about it? Like, am I just supposed to know this information? It can be a little confusing at first. So that's why you have to learn how to use it. There comes a responsibility. So you may find yourself seeing things more clearly, not just in your personal relationships or goals, but energetically. Patterns that once confused you suddenly reveal their purpose. Dynamics that felt murky or imbalanced may begin to make sense. This information is coming in, but not just through the mind, it's arriving through the body, through the senses, and through subtle energetic impressions, through vibrational frequencies. A lot of times, if you're listening to somebody talk, you can hear the vibrational frequency not only in the words, but in between what's not being said. Or you can sometimes just hear, like, you can hear aspects of it. Oops, sorry, y'all. Apparently, I had an alarm set. um, so so you can hear, which I guess that was perfect timing because when we're talking about vibrational frequencies, it sounds like a timer is going off. Where sometimes if I'm listening to somebody talk, it will be like a timer has gone off where, oh, wait, there's something there to pay attention to. There's a vibrational frequency pull there that they're saying something, but what they're saying may not match up to the vibrational frequency of what's actually there in the current of it. And that's where then you just have more information of understanding what's really happening in an experience. If you're an intuitive empath or somebody who's highly sensitive, you may have a lot of experiences with this. If you're somebody who's in a new awakening space, this might be coming on board for you. But with that, though, there's a lot of different ways to understand things, but that's why learning to use how to use it is so important. And also know that you don't have to act on everything you sense. You just don't. Sometimes awareness is simply a signal to observe. Just because you're getting information and download, it doesn't mean that you need to share it outwardly. There's sometimes such a rush to share information. Like, "Oh my god, and I know it can be really exciting when you're getting psychic information, especially in the first, the first days of it. But also, it can be jolting to another person if you're just rushing with the information, where they're like, "Wait, how do you know that?" And it can really scare another person. It can be scary. So, you don't always have to act on everything you sense. You don't always have to share every little piece of information that was downloaded to you. Sometimes awareness is simply a signal to observe. Your energetic system is recalibrating to a higher sensitivity, and that may also require rest, integration, and discernment. And discernment is a key part of it. This theme is also closely linked to identity reconstruction, which is from the first theme. As you clear old overlays of who you used to be, you make space for intuitive accuracy. The mind may still stir to try to control or interpret too quickly, but your body and energy field already know. Learning to trust the subtle signal even before it makes logical sense is part of your new energetic discipline. You want to put that in your new energetic discipline. You may feel the soft opening of your psychic and telepathic gifts. Something we'll continue to see collectively is here, and I'm going to talk about more in the next theme. But don't be surprised if you begin finishing people's sentences, receiving downloads in meditations, or sensing the emotions of others with greater precision. It can be really confusing at first, though. Like, wait, is this mine? Is that someone else's? You have to get used to it. You have to it's like a tool like anything else. And these are natural abilities reawakening after periods of energetic suppression. But you do have to get used to it. It can be really confusing. Like you're like, "Wait, is that mine? Is that someone else's?" But once you understand the discernment of the energies, you begin to understand whether it's yours or someone else's, or also with telepathic information, you understand, like, wait, I'm getting that before the person even spoke. So you learn the rhythms of it. You learn how to use the tools with it. You learn how to um, you learn how to work with it. So here are some reflective anchors for April. Pause before interpreting. Pause before interpretation. Let perception deepen. That's the other thing I sometimes see with people. They're like, I got a message. I got a message. I downloaded. Awesome. And then they're like immediately like sharing the information, but it there's no doesn't feel like it's deepened. Doesn't feel like there's no depth there. It feels like it's in the shallow, feels like it's in the shallow end. It's not in the deep end. And that's because the perception hasn't deepened. And then they're like, I've got this to share. I got a message from so and so. But have you actually let it marinate before an interpretation of it or before letting the perception deepen? The other reflective anchor for April is trust subtle sensations, inner tugs, and felt truths in your stomach where you're feeling that like usually I'll feel it on my stomach where it's like the truth bell goes off where you're like, that doesn't feel quite true. Um, and then create quiet space daily to strengthen your inner clarity. Avoid information overload if you can. Too much input can cloud fresh perception. Journal your intuitive insights. If you are in my Meditate with Me in All Access, y'all know I like the journaling. We do a lot of journaling. And even if you're in my other, just in my Patreon, I tend to send out journal questions, even in my meditations and talks. But I do it much more on Patreon. We like journaling. Journal your intuitive insights, even if you don't understand them yet. They're pieces of a larger puzzle coming into view. And also, too, you have that frame of reference, too. Heightened awareness, intuitive awareness, psychic abilities isn't just like another upgrade or isn't just a spiritual upgrade. It's a recalibrated way of being. It empowers you to move with clarity, relate in that aspect, then, in terms of greater beingness, because of the multidimensional sense. And then you can then create also then from a space of alignment rather than reaction. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to have another reaction. Yeah, we're living in a human experience. Like, I mean, I've not been doing this work for so long. I'm like, you just, we're living in a human experience. And the only thing I can say is just keep using your tools. So, this month is especially powerful for intuitive awakenings, psychic sensitivity, dreams may become more vivid, synchronicities may accelerate. But also, don't try to make meaning and force meaning out of something because you might be having synchronicities that are just mirroring something that you're here to learn, grow, and evolve on. And so, instead of making it about the other person, what is it in you that's being called to be looked at? You may pick up on other people's emotions more easily or receive flashes of insight that feel unexplainably true. This part of the broader shift many are experiencing as we move out of survival mode, living into expanded consciousness. Because you gain awareness doesn't mean, though, as I mentioned before, that you really have to act upon it. Integration is essential. Really give yourself time to sit with insights, to feel how they land in your body, and let them to really root into your daily awareness before making big moves. Sometimes clarity comes in layers, and each layer offers a deeper, more embodied truth. This is the energy of intuitive emergence, not forced, not rushed, but gently unfolding, like petals opening in the sun after a long winter. Your task isn't to push, it's to notice, to become curious, to create space for insight to rise from within, not just to be searched for outside from the outside. As your inner like perception expands, remember that sensitivity is a strength, not a flaw. It connects us more deeply to the unseen dimensions of your experience and invites a more conscious, heart led engagement with the world around you. Stay open, stay curious, stay grounded. Let your awareness rise naturally. Trust the clarity that lands and know that your intuition is not a mystery, it's a muscle. And this month, it's growing stronger. Because when you learn to trust your inner insight, you no longer need to be told where to go. You simply begin to see. Just because clarity arrives doesn't mean you have to respond right away, though. I can't say that enough. Awareness is powerful, but it's also tender when it first arrives. So let it breathe. Let it breathe. Give it room and space. Let it settle. Let it settle. Often, when something becomes suddenly clear, something you hadn't seen before, it can feel like a deep exhale or even a shock to the system. That's because some part of your soul likely sensed the truth all along, but your human self may have been walking with kind of an energetic amnesia, not yet ready to fully face or integrate it. And if you do dusting energy work, then you can actually ask to clear. Is there any kind of energetic amnesia that needs to be cleared? See if there's any and ask if it can be cleared. You always want to ask if there's any kind of lessons to be learned or anything else. When your perception shifts like this, when something once hidden comes into sharp focus, it can be freeing, even validating. But moving too fast can pull you out of your body and into reactive energy. So let your awareness land first. Let it echo through your system, through your heart, your body, your energy field. Observe how it feels across time, not just in the moment of revelation. Commit first to presence, to noticing, to allowing the insight to live inside you for a while before making decisions or settling plans into motion. Let your internal compass adjust. Sometimes what we initially perceive as an urgent knowing becomes something even deeper and more aligned once we give space to unfold. This is how intuition becomes integrated, not just a flash of knowing, but a lived, embodied light truth that informs your path forward with clarity and confidence. So, take this example building on what we explored in theme 5, revealing the real, navigating personal and collective truths. Imagine a moment of sudden clarity. You discover that someone you're in a committed monogamous relationship with you has been unfaithful. The shock of that awareness can feel like a lightning strike, sharp, undeniable, and instantly destabilizing. Your first instinct might be to take immediate action in the relationship, confront them, or make rapid changes to reclaim your power. And if that feels aligned, that's valid. But if you find yourself frozen or unsure, it's okay to pause. When a truth like this, actually this big surfaces, your body and energy field need time to catch up with what your mind has just grasped. Letting yourself sit with the awareness doesn't mean you're avoiding action. It means you're allowing the reality to settle into your system so you can respond from a place of deeper clarity rather than react from shock or emotional overwhelm. You're recalibrating, you're processing, recalibrating. When you give yourself space to feel, to breathe, and to integrate what's being revealed, your eventual choices come from a space of inner wisdom, not urgency, not fear. That kind of response holds more alignment and often leads to long term healing rather than short term relief. That's how you also processing things and moving into the in the energy of love, because you're moving from a space of energy of love as opposed to reaction and fear, which then is going to hold the alignment more. So April is inviting us into a noticeable sharpening of inner and outer perception. After months of feeling like you were moving through energetic fog, unsure about next steps, disconnected from clarity, this month brings potential for breakthroughs, particularly in the realm of relationships. Whether it's with a friend, partner, colleague, family member, relational dynamics that have felt strained, confused, or unresolved may finally begin to crystallize. What was murky becomes illuminated. Conversations you've been avoiding might now feel possible. You might be able to have space to do it. More mindfulness, compassion. Patterns you've been sensing but couldn't name suddenly reveal themselves with precision. The heightened awareness isn't just about seeing more clearly, it's about understanding what that clarity empowers you to do. You begin to recognize what's truly aligned and what no longer resonates with your evolving values and vision. And in that awareness, a sense of liberation becomes available. Not always easy, but deeply freeing. And remember, you don't need to rush to fix, resolve, or even define anything just yet. Let your awareness guide you first. Allow the energy of truth to settle before taking next steps. What matters is that you are beginning to see, and that seeing will reshape everything. So here's the astrological events and cosmic influences connected to this energy theme 7. Venus North Node in Mercury in Pisces Aries, and Chiron activation of full moon. So the influence of Mercury in Pisces direct on April 7th and Sun Chiron Aries April 12th supports intuitive clarity and heart aligned knowing. This is part of the broader wave of the embodying heart wisdom this month, where insight and psychic awareness rise naturally as we heal identity wounds and regulate our energetic fields. This theme reflects the collective expansion of psychic perception, Chiron's activation, and Mercury's shift sharpen our intuitive gifts. Let yourself receive more subtle, sacred information. You're remembering how to listen. Don't rush to interpret everything. Let intuition deepen within you. Here, this is the integration tip. Sorry, I didn't mention that. This is the integration tip. Don't rush to interpret everything. Let intuition deepen within you. Awareness doesn't always need immediate action. It needs space to unfold, create quiet, open space for intuition to land. You're tuning into higher frequencies now. Let them settle. All right. Theme number 8. We're almost done. 2 more themes. Theme number 8, intuitive amplification, the rising volume of psychic sensitivity and telepathic connection. So, see, theme 7 and 8 are kind of similar, but slightly different. And so the guides wanted me to bring them in. All right. The sensitivity becomes a skill. So, let me just talk about this for a second. Theme number 7 was intuitive emergence. So intuition is emerging, activating psychic sensitivity and expanded awareness. So that was theme 7. And so now theme 8 is intuitive amplification. Intuitive amplification, the rising volume of psychic sensitivity and telepathic connection. This is then sensitivity becomes a skill. This is the next step. Telepathic abilities, telepathy, psychic insight, and intention based energy work are no longer fringe experiences. They're part of the new operating system we're stepping into. If you listen to some of my talks last month, there are many moments where I gave examples of like, wow, my telepathic abilities are coming online at a whole nother level. And so did not surprise me that that theme 7 and theme 8 came in because I could see it in my experience and then also in my clients too coming in. Wow, it was so noticeable in terms of there's a shift happening in terms of psychic abilities. And I know sometimes you'll hear the cosmic energies are coming in and the veil is going to be thin. There is something different though where I saw the noticeable transition into tools, into the physical world. So the veil could be thin where people can access information, but it's different when you start to be able to use it as tools in a way. Okay, so there is a growing hum in the collective, one that many of us are beginning, or many of us already heard, beginning to hear, have heard, feel, or sense. Psychic sensitivity and telepathic connection are no longer fringe experiences or gifts reserved for a select few. They're becoming louder, more accessible, increasingly integrated into our everyday awareness, which is so amazing. And I love that. This isn't just about intuition in the traditional sense, it is about a broader energetic upgrade, one that invites us to recognize that the truth that we're all deeply interconnected, not just physically or emotionally, but really energetically and vibrationally. So you might be noticing moments of spontaneous knowing, feeling someone's emotions before they speak, receiving inner images, inner messages, receiving downloads, receiving clear energetic hits, clear intuitive hits. That's not just your imagination, it's your inner guidance system coming online in a deeper way. This surge of interest in psychic development and telepathic exploration, like the recent, buzzing in terms of some of the aspects around the world, it's reflecting. If you go on social media, you see a lot of it, but it reflects a collective readiness. People are hungry to understand the unseen realms of connection, not out of curiosity alone, but from a deeper remembering, which is so exciting. And that the deeper remembering that we were never separate to begin with. We were never separate to begin with. So many of us were taught to dismiss or fear this part of ourselves. But now the veils are thinning, the conditioning is unraveling. What once felt like otherworldly is revealing itself to be innately human, just long forgotten. From an energy work perspective, this amplification often begins in the subtle body. The third eye, the crown, the heart, even the solar plexus may become more activated. You might experience waves of insight, heightened dreams, increased emotional sensitivity, or moments of that sudden clarity that don't really follow linear logic. Through it all, though, it's important to stay grounded. Psychic sensitivity isn't about escaping the physical world. It is about learning to navigate it with expanded perception. The more we anchor into the body, the more accurate and useful our intuitive guidance becomes. You may wish to deepen your practices, whether through energy healing, meditation, dream work, yoga, or simply paying more attention to the way the body communicates messages. This is a time to trust your inner signals, to listen between the words, to honor the unseen just as much as the seen. You're not losing your mind, you're expanding your awareness. And if you're looking for support as these sensitivities awaken, then let yourself find communities, reach out to practitioners, or We're doing this work together in the Inspiring You Patreon. Come join us there. In our live classes, on our Zoom classes, after we finish the recordings, yeah, we always have a moment to do Q&As and talk and see what's going on. It's amazing to hear everyone's experiences. I love it. I love it. And you know what? Whether it's like one person that shows up or if there's like, a ton of people, it's like it's amazing just to be in this experience and to hear what's coming in and it's just I am always so inspired by it. And you'll also find grounding tools, energy works, heart-centered guidance to help you stay aligned while expanding your intuitive gifts. So that's in the Inspiring You Patreon. But wherever it is, you can find tools and support. You're not alone in this evolution. You're simply remembering how deeply connected you've always been. So while psychic sensitivity and telepathic communication are already rising around the planet, we're entering a new wave of acceleration. New wave, y'all. More people are waking up to the innate abilities, not as something mystical or strange, but as natural extensions of our consciousness. It is so incredibly exciting to see how much more interest there is in expanding. The awareness is deepening. It's just awesome. And we're seeing this show up in measurable ways too. There's starting to be more scientific curiosity, collective conversations, widespread personal experiences. What once felt as rare or hidden is now becoming part of the mainstream spiritual awakening. And this month marks a fresh surge in these energies. A new phase is unfolding where telepathic resonance, energetic communication, and intuitive perception begins to emerge more clearly and consistently in our lives. This isn't a passing trend. It is a part of an ongoing evolution of human consciousness. It is only going to grow from here. This growing psychic and telepathic sensitivity is not just a personal evolution. It is shifting the collective energy field on Earth in profound ways. As more of us awaken to these abilities, we begin to understand the power of intentional energy. Our thoughts, emotions, energetic projections carry influence, not just on our own world, on our own lives, but on the wider vibrational frequency we are all part of. Intention becomes a creative force. Manifestation becomes more immediate. And with that comes responsibility. With that comes responsibility. If you are tuning into your intuitive gifts, whether through subtle sensing, energetic impressions, or telepathic awareness, you're likely already noticing the dimensional layers of communication unfolding. We're no longer just engaging in words or logic. We are engaging through frequency, through resonance, through the unseen. There is an energetic dialogue happening all the time between people, spaces, timelines, and possibilities. And as you strengthen your ability to feel and respond to these subtle layers, you gain access to more empowered and aligned ways of shaping your reality. This isn't about control. It's about collaboration with the energy, with the field, with the greater intelligence that we're all connected to for the highest good. And intentions, my friends, intention is one of the most powerful energetic tools we have. It may seem simple, but intention is one of the most powerful energetic tools we have. And again, it may seem simple, like waking up after weeks of heaviness and saying out loud, I welcome in love, grace, and healing today. But that moment shifts the frequency of your entire field. With that conscious statement, you're not just wishing, you are sending out a vibrational signal that realigns you with what is ready, with what you are ready to receive. That's how energy works. It responds. And when you send a clear, heart centered intention, you begin to magnetize experiences, insights, and opportunities that match the frequency of your ask. And it is not about everything you say. It is not, because there has to be a vibrational frequency connected to it. And it's not going to be everything. And if there's no opportunities that are coming in that you feel blocked, that's where you might have to do the work. Something might need to be cleared. You might need to bring an aha realization of like the pattern and program that you're in that's actually keeping you stuck from calling in what is in your heart to do so. For too long, many of us were taught to suppress this inner knowing, to overlook the subtle yet powerful way we interact with the universe. But when we return to it, it feels familiar. It's not new, it's ancient. It's a remembering encoded in our energetic DNA. And as more people reconnect with their intuitive abilities, both individually and in community, these intentional frequencies ripple out. They touch the collective, they shift timelines. This month, consider how you're using your energy to shape not only your life, but the world around you, whether through daily intentions, quiet prayers, energy work, meditations, focus group meditations. Your frequency matters, friends. Your frequency matters. You are not separate from the collective field. You are co creating it. You are co creating that collective field. Use your intentions with clarity, with care, and with the awareness that your energy is part of a greater symphony of change. And as psychic and telepathic sensitivity becomes more accessible, we are being invited to step into a new relationship with energy, one that is conscious, intentional, and rooted in connection. With that rooted in connection in terms of the energy of love, care, mindfulness, compassion. We're shifting, beginning to, into unity consciousness. This isn't just about tuning in. It is about participating. We are no longer passive observers of energy, or actually, that was the illusion. That was the illusion. We're no longer in the illusion of being passive observers of the energy. That was the illusion. We are co creators, shaping frequency with every thought, word, and intention. We are co creators, shaping frequency with every thought, word, and intention. So allow yourself to practice. Speak your intentions out loud. Write your intentions. Feel them in your body. Visualize them anchoring into your energy field, whether it's healing, clarity, expansion, peace, abundance, prosperity. Know that your intention has power. It sets a tone for your day, your life, and your contribution to the collective. And again, if you are feeling a calling to deepen this practice, y'all, I invite you over to join us in the Inspiring You Patreon, the Meditate with Me and the All Access levels. Y'all, we do a ton of stuff. And one of the things that we do is a monthly intention setting workshop. It is a sacred space to align with your energetic truth, amplify your clarity, co create powerful shifts together. Whether you're just learning or expanding your psychic energetic awareness, you'll be supported with guided energy meditations, quantum meditations, intention setting, practical tools to help you integrate, recalibrate, and rise. It's one of my favorite things that we do in the Inspiring You Patreon. You're not alone in this emergence. We are remembering together. We are in this unfolding together. And it's beautiful. Humaning can sometimes be complicated. This multidimensional can be confusing sometimes, but we're all in it together. So wherever it is, though, there's tons of places to find community. It doesn't have to be in the Inspiring You Patreon. It can be wherever you're being called to. All right. Here's astrological events and cosmic influence connected to the energy theme 8. Ongoing Pisces stellium and the Mercury Venus activation. So the Venus North Node, Venus, Saturn, Mercury, and Pisces activations are all part of this rise in energetic sensitivity. As more people awaken psychically and telepathically, we're remembering ancient gifts that were once forgotten. This is also supported by the Taurus new moon, which helps us to ground these higher frequencies. The theme builds on the previous one in regards to reflects the crescendo and psychic downloads, telepathic resonance, collective consciousness rising. Intuition isn't a whisper anymore. It is a language. That's right. Integration tip. Use your intention as a tuning fork. Your thoughts are energy. And I will just say not all your thoughts, just the ones that have a higher vibrational frequency, like that have a certain vibrational frequency on them. Speak to the field wisely, though. Participate consciously in the collective vibration. Work with intention. Your frequency influences the collective field. Okay, here's the last theme. Woo, y'all. That's right. We're almost done. Okay, theme number 8. Theme number 9. Theme number 9. Riding the energy waves, harnessing momentum, elevation, and and becoming self-stabilization. Whew. We are being called to learn to stabilize in a greater way. Not by clinging, but by attuning to the rhythms of our own energy and the cosmic currents. This is really where you are beginning to become more anchored in your evolution of learning how to surf the cosmic energy waves coming in instead of surviving. So The cosmic energies that have moved through us last month could be really challenging in many ways. So there may have been moments where maybe your self-care seemed to have slipped lately. Maybe the intensity of March's clearing process left you feeling scattered or ungrounded. Maybe your meals haven't been as nourishing, or maybe your sleep feels off, or you've been skipping practices that usually help you feel centered. That happens, especially after an intense stretch of clearing or transformation. That is not a failure, but it's part of what's happening when the body and the energy field are integrating deep shifts. But instead of letting that slip go into self criticism, what if you look at it as a cue to realign with compassion? Change that lens and how you're viewing things. The cosmic energies that moved through last month, they were intense at times, and they weren't just emotional triggers. They carried powerful light codes and vibrational upgrades. As those frequencies moved through your system, they initiated a deep, deep, deep detox. And now in April, you may begin to feel the results of that process. This month brings with it powerful energetic surges, waves of heightened light frequency that can feel expansive, inspiring, and even euphoric when you're in sync with them. For those who have been doing the deep inner work, these energetic highs may arrive as moments of rapid growth, unexpected opportunities, emotional breakthroughs, or creative flow. It might feel like the light suddenly turns on after months of internal work behind closed doors. However, it is essential to recognize that these energy spikes are not when I just said energy spikes, I literally saw before I said that, I literally saw like a like a football being thrown, like, when you kinda spike the football. Sometimes it's so amazing what the images that the guides are giving me as I'm doing these things in real time. So I just wanted to share that. So it's essential to recognize that these energy spikes are not just gifts. Y'all, if you resonated to what I said in terms of the football, you're probably now gonna connect energy spikes to the football, and you're gonna probably be able to embody experiences and understand what they are in a whole nother way from that gift that they just gave us in terms of that imagery. So it is essential to recognize that the energy spikes are not just gifts, they're invitations. Invitations to elevate, yes, but also to ground, to stabilize, to care for your nervous system as much as your spirit. Your job here is to be human. Yes, we do have a spiritual body. Yes, we do have an emotional body. Yes, we have a mental body. Yes, we have a spiritual body. But you're here to be human. You're here to be multidimensional. So it is so important to, yes, elevate. Answer the invitation to elevate. You have to answer it because you're a co-creator. Yes, I'd like to say yes to this invitation to elevate for the highest good. But you need to ground because you live in a physical body. You need to ground, stabilize, care for your nervous system as much as your spirit. Energetic highs can show up in many forms, but at their core, they are a positive infusion of light vibration. These states carry a high frequency vibration, pure life force energy that reconnects us to vitality, vibrancy, flow, and inner light expansion. They're not just emotional uplifts, they are energetic recalibrations that anchor us into a more awakened and aligned state of being. The key to accessing and sustaining these energetic highs lies in how we're holding and balancing ourselves right now. As waves of higher consciousness continue to stream in, accelerating the speed of healing and awakening, we're being invited to rise into new frequencies, new light frequencies. But these light frequencies require support. They require support. Integration isn't passive, it is an active practice. Many of you who have moved through recent cycles of purging or emotional release are now more open to receiving. Still, how you treat your body, mind, and energy field in this moment will influence how fully you can access and stabilize these higher states. Self care, rest, nourishment, grounding, these aren't luxuries right now. They are the light bridges that help these light frequencies land and take root. That is how they get planted and they can grow. The way to integrate your connection to these energetic, high vibrational energies that has been available is to check in to see how you are holding in the experience. This is rapid acceleration and speed of healing that is at work, and higher consciousness is coming in more and more to us. Yet it has to be supported in the physical. A lot of this will come for many of you who've already gone through the clearing that have been talking about it, and at the same time, we have to support our ability to experience energetic highs by how we care for ourselves. If you've been moving through deep purging and emotional releases in the recent weeks, your system may now be more open, more receptive to the higher frequencies flowing in, but openness alone isn't enough. You saying yes to the higher frequencies isn't enough. Openness alone isn't enough. The way you care for your body, your thoughts, your energy field in this moment will directly affect how fully you can receive, hold, and integrate these new vibrational states. That is why self care, rest, nourishment, grounding practices are not optional right now. They are essential tools of energetic integration. They create the internal stability needed for high frequency energies to root and become sustainable. So, as the acceleration of healing continues and higher levels of consciousness becomes more accessible, it is important to tune in and ask, how am I holding myself in this experience? The expansion is real, but it must be supported. If you've cleared a lot recently, these energetic highs are now more available to you, but only to a degree that you tend to your well being. Your practices, your presence, your self support are what allow the light to truly settle in and become part of your new energetic baseline. Yes, these energetic highs can be exhilarating and they are so exciting. But without the support of the intentional practices, rest, nourishment, boundaries, mindfulness, they can quickly become overwhelming or short lived. That's right, short lived. That's why self care this month isn't optional, it's foundational. The more you attune to your body energy field with awareness, the more sustainable you can ride these current waves of expansion. And the more you're able to embody them. That is why also the guides are like, do nervous system reset tools in your meditations because the nervous system needs to recalibrate. And that's how you can hold more light. When I really think about like my bingo card and like on my bingo card, like, oh, look, becoming like, becoming a trauma informed practitioner, which it makes sense now. But years ago, when I was a kid, becoming a trauma informed practitioner was not like on my bingo card. But now, as I've moved through all these experiences and understand the relationship with the nervous system, not only to heal trauma, but also to incorporate higher light coming in, I get it. It is like a foundational tool. It's probably one of the best gifts that the guides have guided me to because not only has it supported me, but I also can support then in terms of teaching and helping others. It's unbelievable when you really look at your unfolding and of what you've been guided to. Oh, the amount of gratitude I have, even when I was like resisting something, because we can all be there, right? So, friends, self care is not optional this month, it's foundational. The more you attune to your body energy field with awareness, the more sustainable you can ride the current waves of light expansion. And there can be bursts of clarity, renewal, lightness. These are not temporary highs, they're glimpses of your new vibrational baseline. This is your energy field adjusting to higher light frequency. It may feel elevated or unfamiliar at first, but over time, this new level of resonance will become the norm. So you can go into a really high state of like a burst of clarity and like lightness and wow. But at some point, it's not a temporary high, it's glimpses of your new vibrational baseline. And then this new level of resonance just becomes your new norm. And you're not just recovering, you're embodying an upgrade. That said, though, how you support yourself now is essential. You can't it's not about doing one and done. Like, I did that moon meditation and I said yes to that quantum leap. It's not one and done. We are in a process right now where it is essential. So, if your self-care has been minimal, and that includes meditation time or whatever you do for your embodying work, this is time to gently realign, nourish your body, ground your energy, do energy work, do clearing work, do meditation, make space to rest, recalibrate. These are not luxuries, they are part of anchoring the upgrade. And this isn't about chasing a high. It's about recognizing that you've been recalibrated from the inside out, and the energetic highs you're feeling are signals of alignment, indicating indicators that your field is syncing with the next version of you, more connected, more expanded, more fully alive. So then what you want to ask is, how do I anchor into myself when the energy rises? How do I anchor into myself when the energy rises? What does that look like for me in terms of maintaining groundedness, alignment, or rebalancing and reharmonizing? What tools am I using to rebalance and reharmonize? What tools am I using for nervous system aspects? The more that you meet these elevated frequencies with presence and groundedness, the more you'll be able to integrate them, not as fleeting highs, but as lasting transformation. If you go on social media and people are talking about the highs and blah, 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 you can tell where people aren't grounded. If their voice is like really high and they're like in that like and they seem like a helium balloon. They feel like a helium balloon to me. Like it just feels like they're on an energetic high and they like are so not grounded. It feels a little bit uncomfortable, even if they're saying that they're in a high vibrational frequency, which you can feel, but it's like it feels so not grounded. It feels uncomfortable. As somebody who's an intuitive empath, it feels super uncomfortable. I have to like quickly shuttle off if I'm on social media. I have to scroll away because it's really uncomfortable. That's where too, like anybody that you're following on social media, are they really using tools? Are like really using tools, like really using tools, not just talking the talk, walking the walk. That's why I like to try to incorporate some of the examples that I'm moving through because y'all, I'm like using the tools and I'm not like just sitting on a perch, just trying to preach here. Like it is a necessity for me as somebody who's a highly sensitive person. It is like a number one necessity to me. And do I have all moments that I'm constantly? No. There's moments where I'm like, "Oh, I didn't I'm getting called to do a meditation." I'm like, "Oh, but I got the I don't want tos." It happens. We're in a human experience. But right now though, it is really important to double down on using tools. These last couple of years out, but especially this month. When you're getting an energy theme again and again, multiple ways in the energy theme, talking about self-care and nervous system dysregulation, that's something to take that is something to actually take notice of. And if you hear other people in their energy forecast also talking about nervous system regulation and doing self-care, 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 then it is something to take note of. Yeah. So with it then, again, energetic highs can show up in different forms as well. Um, You know, the more you meet these elevated frequencies with presence and groundness, the more you're able to integrate them, not as fleeting highs, but as lasting transformation. That being said, though, energetic highs can show up in different forms in different people. Creative breakthroughs, surges of inspiration, a deep sense of connection, or simply feeling that you're lit up from within. But no matter how they manifest, they always carry a high vibrational frequency, an amplified connection to life force energy, clarity, presence. Usually also you can feel that energy of love, peace, etc. The key to receiving and sustaining these highs lies in how we hold and support ourselves energetically. The speed of healing is accelerating, and many of us are integrating higher states of consciousness faster than ever. But that doesn't happen in isolation. It requires participation. It asks us to be active stewards of our own energy alchemists. We are being called to be responsible for our own energy alchemists. Even if you've recently come through a period of deep inner work, clearing, releasing, navigating shadow, you may feel more space within to receive these elevated frequencies. But what amplifies and anchors them in is your daily commitment to self support. The way you speak to yourself, the way you show up for your body, your emotions, your needs. That is what it's calling us to look at. So if you've been stuck in cycles of self-judgment, inner criticism, I have so much compassion. I understand, been there. I understand. Sometimes I'm still there in moments where I catch myself like, hey, well, I got to bring some more mindfulness and compassion in. You know, trying to meet yourself where you are with small acts of kindness each day, it matters. Even in a moment of conscious breath, gentle walk, or allowing yourself to rest can shift the frequency. The simple gestures support recalibrating your field and create the internal conditions for higher energies to land and stay. Remember, energetic highs are not rewards, they are resonances. The more you nurture your internal space with compassion and presence, the more naturally these elevated states will emerge and eventually become stable into your field. So, again, last month and now this month brings a surge of energetic highs, those moments of lightness, flow, forward movement that can feel like breakthroughs. But to fully access them and stabilize them, we have to support our bodies, minds, energy fields. The vibrational upgrades don't land all at once. Also, they unfold, they integrate gradually. And how you care for yourself in the meantime shapes how deeply rooted they are. So, in terms of vibrational upgrades, they don't land all at once. So, that's why you have to allow yourself to root one in. And then in order to get the next one, you have to then allow the first one to land and be rooted. Otherwise, if you're only letting it at a surface level, the other upgrades can't come in. That's why the grounding is so important. Just think of yourself like a garden where, like, in different aspects, different parts of the garden is things are being planted into it for the highest good. For the highest good. I always want to say that for that. But that's like the vibrational upgrades. They don't land all at once. You are in a physical body. Things have to recalibrate. So with that then, you are stepping into a new level of vibration. What once felt expansive or out of reach may now begin to feel natural or even sustainable, but you still need to honor the process. You still need space to breathe into it. So friends, instead of chasing the high or forcing yourself into action, start small. Make a choice that nourishes instead of depletes. Tend to your nervous system. Choose the things that bring steadiness instead of stimulation. That is how the new becomes your new norm, not in a rush, but in rhythm. And that's how you can also acclimate in terms of the high vibration frequency coming in, because it's an acclimation process too. Kind of like, if you try to go to the mountains and if you're not used to the altitude, you can get altitude sickness. That's why you have to slowly go up in terms of allowing yourself to acclimate to the altitude. That's why too sometimes people might not be staying in a vibrational frequency at a certain space because they're also not acclimating to it. There could be other reasons too, because there might be something that they're doing work on for the collective. Sometimes if you're doing work for the collective, you may be dipping down to support clearing something. Just depends on what your role here on earth is. But that's neither here nor there. These energetic highs represent, though, not just the fleeting moments of elevation, they're glimpses of your next vibrational baseline, your new normal, if you will. So at first, they might feel like a rush of light, a surge of inspiration, an expanded connection that lifts you beyond the familiar. But with presence, support, and integration, what once felt extraordinary begins to settle into your new normal. And over time, the high will be stabilized. Your energy field then is calibrating to the higher frequencies, acclimating to it. Much like if you were going to go to a mountain area, you're acclimating to the altitude. So as April unfolds, many will experience more frequent waves of openness, clarity, vitality, vibrancy, not as random highs, but as signposts of the new energetic architecture being woven within and around you. The more you tend to your systems with awareness, the more easily these states anchor and become part of your everyday reality. These elevated states begin to surface more consistently. So let yourself meet with them with mindfulness, stay present in your body, support yourself through the shifts. Remember that this isn't about chasing the high, it's about integrating. Let April be the month where your energy field catches up to the light that you've been calling in for the highest good. Trust the process, anchor the expansion, and know that what you're experiencing isn't fleeting if you're letting yourself be grounded using the tools, because then it becomes embodiment in terms of your next evolution, arriving at one breath, one choice, and one energetic moment at a time. So, the astrological events and cosmic influences connected to energy theme 9, Taurus new moon, April 27th, Mars and Leo, Mercury and Aries. So, when Venus direct Mercury and Mars shifting into the fire signs and the Taurus new moon, we're in a period of energetic acceleration. These movements embody the theme of clarity and courageous rebirth and invite us to stabilize the energetic upgrades received in March. We're still integrating the new light codes, but the waves can carry uplift, not overwhelm, if we're using the tools as well. The theme reflects the integration of rapid energetic upgrades, and as you stabilize new light codes and navigate elevated vibrations, your inner practices become the anchor. Integration tip: stay attuned to your rhythms, ride the energy with presence, not to outrun discomfort, but to expand into your next level of vibrational capacity. Stay grounded, hydrated, and centered. You're learning how to live at a higher frequency. April closes not April closes not with a bang, but with a deep exhale. You cross a vibrational threshold, and in doing so, you have realigned your inner compass. You are in that reconstruction. You have realigned your inner compass. And when March initiated through upheaval, April integrates through sacred embodiment. You're not being asked to rush, fix, or prove. You're being asked to root, to ground. Let your heart lead with clarity. Let your nervous system anchor the light. Let your intuitive gifts guide your becoming. The frequency of April is not urgency, it is sovereignty. You've reconstructed, you've regulated, you remembered. Now you're living from that remembering. Welcome to the next evolution. And with that, my friends, we are complete for the energy forecast of April. And if you are in my Inspiring You All Access level, we will be doing the dowsing energy session that goes along with this on Saturday, April 5th. So we will be doing the live class, and then the replay will be available afterwards. All right, before we go, my friends, let's just take a nice deep breath. And then just give gratitude for all the information, the support, the care, the love, and anything else that you're grateful for. Take another deep breath. And now, if this resonates with you, let's just break the links. I asked to break the links with this talk. I asked to break the Reiki links with this session, leaving only harmony and balance at either ends. I asked to clear any residual energies being held in my body as a result of these links. I asked the light to fill the void cells, rejuvenates, refreshes, revitalizes for the highest good with ease and grace and gratitude. And I asked this healing to be sealed with love and light. I asked this healing to be sealed with love and light. I asked this healing to be sealed with love and light. And so it is, my friends. So it is. With that, my friends, we are complete for now. Much, much love. Until soon. And stay inspired, my friends.